with the Texans. A skirmish here, a skirmish there.
Let's go right now. Let's go.
Heat, intensity, and tackle football will do that. The large men in pads and helmets. Today, though, it's not practice. The Finns have a game. More tackle football.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Yeah, let's go.
Much higher on the intensity ladder as players fight to win a game and earn a spot on the roster.
There's a lot of things that we got going on this year that Mike's wanting to try for our guys and trying to see who does what the best. Get in the huddle, get the play call, get out so that we can see everything, get our guys going and then play.
Preseason game number 2 against Houston, who might have a problem. Time to see what Miami has learned from last week's preseason game.
There was some things that we got out of practice that were a result of fully investing in it. It was an awesome day for that because you can actually get to nitty-gritty coaching on certain things to get better at.
This is Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami fans on South Florida's #1 sports station, AM 560 Sports, WQAM.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by South Florida Lexus Dealers. Experience amazing by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day? Pour me in, coach. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Make sure your next Cadillac is backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Proud partner of the Miami Dolphins by JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage. And by Williamson Automotive. Williamson is Miami.
Oh, welcome on in, everybody. It is another edition of Game Day Uncensored. Tobin here with you alongside Omar Kelly and Alejandro Solana as we have preseason game number 2 as the Miami Dolphins are heading on in to Houston.
I think you need to put a little flavor on the Alejandro. So let's give it with the sazon.
You want it with the sazon?
Sazon. Yeah. Give it to me with the sazon.
A little Alejandro Solana.
Alejandro Solana. Okay.
Preseason sazon. Sazon. So yeah, man, we got game number 2 here for the preseason. Omar, you were boots on the ground in Houston this week. What was the vibe out there? Another set of joint practices.
Hot.
What was the takeaways?
You know what? It's funny that you say hot because I would say the first day we got off easy, and I you hear it's like, oh, it's 100 degrees in Houston. You guys are gonna burn up in here, and I was like, cupcake weather. People try harder, do better. I'm from South Florida. I'm used to sweating.
I don't think they know what the heat sparring has been lately.
Yeah, I wear an undershirt since I was like 2. I know how to do heat and humidity. But then it became a situation where the next day it was like 105 and it was hot. See, people don't understand, like, heat and humidity, 2 different things.
Yep.
We have humidity. We don't necessarily have heat here. Some people will disagree, but have you ever been to Vegas in the summer?
I was just in Vegas for the Terrence Crawford fight, and it's like you get blasted. Like you take something out of the oven.
That's exactly what it's like.
It's like this. It's just
If
you're not like pooling.
Yes, if you've grown up in South Florida, Vegas and that West Coast heat, the way Vegas, Arizona, it's like when you first open the oven and then the heat just pours on you. That's heat. We don't have heat here. Like, we could cry about it all we want, but we really don't have heat. We're in the tropics. What we have is humidity, that moisture. It's like somebody's spraying a bottle of water on you all day, hot water on you all day. But outside of the weather, I will say the Dolphins did not match the Houston Texans intensity.
Oh, all right.
This is something that Mike McDaniel acknowledged in day one. In day one, the intensity was not matched. Understand, when you have a new regime and a new coach, people are setting the tone. And it's the same thing with like Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was unbelievable last training camp. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Tyreek was setting a tone. Tyreek, and I'll say this to you guys, Tyreek pulled me aside and he said to me, yo, this training camp number 8 to me. I'm not going like that.
Yeah, well,
And I said, okay, I understand. Like, I know you could play. Like, when you turn it up, because last week he turned it up, and it was like, oh, okay, that's the Tyreek I know. And he's like, listen, the first week, okay, I had my little issues, and I was pacing myself. Next week, I did a little better. This week, I turned it up because I'm trying to get ready for the season, and Tyreek really did turn it up. He was Tyreek. And, outside of the Madden comments and all that foolishness that he talked about.
Is a master troll. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But yeah, like I get it. Like what does he have to prove? We know he's the fastest man alive.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
What does he rank on the NFL's players list? Is he
7? He was 7.
Yeah. And I could argue with you. He should be higher.
Top 5. And not
name me 5 players better.
Not 2, 3, 4, or 5, in my opinion.
I mean, we got to go quarterbacks for like the first 3, 4. And then we get to offensive players. You could say Minnesota's wide receiver, Jefferson. I'm not putting Devontae Adams over Devontae
Adams. No.
You're scared bleepless when it comes to Tyreek Hill on the field. It's so scary. He's always open. And then last year, like his thing where he would like leave the field and then like come back. I don't know what secret stuff was happening in the locker room, but he'd come back like a superhero.
Hydration. He was getting the IV.
It happened against Baltimore, which was arguably the best game the Dolphins had last season. What was that, week 2 in Baltimore? Left the field in the third quarter with cramps.
Yes.
And he was doubtful to return. Comes back, and we all know what happens, right? We all remember what happened.
He said it. He said it in Houston. He was like, "Yeah, I'm horrible at hydration."
Can you, Omar, give us the vibe that it was with the whole Teron Armstead thing when that was all happening? Because I got to be honest with you, as you read that stuff, I was doing the radio show as this was happening, so I'm just reading tweets as they're coming along. It makes it very scary for me. Yes. So, like when Teron Armstead is down, goes over the side, like can you just walk us through what all that was until we got updated that it seems like it's not a major thing?
To be fair and honest and transparent, for alldolphins.com, who I work for along with QAM, I was watching the defense for the second straight week. So I was not watching the offense. But what I did hear was a state of panic come over the Dolphins sideline. Like, oh my God, Teron is being carted off. He went down. He got rolled up. I thought it was the knee. And I think trainers thought it was the knee because they were looking at the knee. And understand, this is a knee that got surgically repaired, scoped out this offseason. We all know Teron needs to be in bubble wrap too. He's 32. Mm-hmm. He's old. Yeah. He's fragile. He's damn good, but he's old and he's fragile.
Is that why they kept him on the ground for so long, or was he just on the ground because of pain? Because he was down for a few minutes, right, Omar?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they were just doing the knee testing, the ACL test or whatever, or if he was just in pain and he didn't want to get up.
I mean, they don't want you to get up until the cart is there, and you're not on home field. So, it's like, who do you go to and say, hey, we need a cart? Like, so I think there were a couple of minutes where getting them up to stand and do what? Wait until the cart gets there. It was kind of an awkward situation. But
I also need like the cart thing because I don't know how else you guys are supposed to describe this on Twitter. But I need something to start distinguishing convenience cart to need this cart.
Mm-hmm.
Like in camp. Like that's the thing that I'm always scared of because I'm like, well, I get the logic. The medical place is far away. They need to travel. I don't want a giant man having to walk. But also I feel like there's a difference between, he got carted off like he needed it.
I hear where you're coming from. If they walk to the cart, this is how I usually look at it. If they walk to the cart, get on the cart themselves, better. If they need assistance to get on the cart, horrible. And Toronto was scary. And to be honest with you, my 15 years of experience and my glass half empty personality is, and I know who I am. I watched him leave the facility on crutches, and I know he shot a video where he's putting
weight on it.
Putting weight on it. I watched him after he shot the video for you to relieve your panic, and it didn't look as good as the video looked. So
it was a very odd video because it's just him shooting the floor of him walking. I'm just like, well, that's very. First of all, very nice of him because otherwise I wouldn't have gotten an update.
Lovely.
That was wonderful.
It was very nice of him, and then he does his own medical report. Although there was some kind of word jujitsu that was going on there. There was like I'm working towards week 1. I'm like, that doesn't mean ready.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're right. You're right. There wasn't a I'll be ready for week 1. There was not that.
Working towards is the key word there. But Omar, like right now, if you had to guess, would Teron Armstead be? I know, like we don't even know the true extent of it, but would he be ready for week 1? If you had to guess, your gut feeling?
I'm going with yes because it wasn't a knee. If it was a knee, I'd be terrified. If it was a toe, which Teron has had issues with the toe, I'd be even more worried because toe means it's going to be here all year. So if this is an ankle and we have not gotten a prognosis, and I'm a little bothered by the fact that we did not see a boot. So that could have been a good thing, could have been a bad thing. Maybe Houston was like, we ain't giving you a boot. Y'all going to have to bring your own boot. So maybe it wasn't a boot. Like I really need to see him on the sidelines of today's game if he's going to be on the sidelines. Hopefully he is. If he's walking on the sidelines, no boot, no nothing, I'll be like, whoo. If he's not on the sidelines, I'm going to be a little bit worried. And then I'll get an opportunity to see him at practice the next time the team convenes. And yes, it's not good. It's not good. None of it is good.
Look, we knew this knew this when he came here. This was the thing that he's amazing for 13 games. Like that's usually how it works for him.
Yes.
That's probably why they let him go. That's why you won't pay a Teron Armstead.
Well,
but he's really good when he plays.
Correct. Even when not healthy.
Yes. Even when he's not healthy. And he apparently has a great ability to do this with very little practice.
Yeah.
Because he's just been around so much. But it just makes you nervous because you're just waiting for, all right, what are those 4 to 5 games that he's going to miss this year? When is that going to happen?
I said, and I have a huge amount of regret for what happened during that practice, because I was talking to David Ferona's, one of my counterparts with the Sun Sentinel guy I mentored, and he was just like, does Teron need to practice today? And he normally does not go back-to-back days. He practiced the first day. Now, Teron gets like 6 snaps of 11 on 11s. Like, that's it. That's as much as like you're going to get. But the day before, he was like, Teron's like, yeah, I'm not where I need to be. I need to ramp it up a little bit. So I said, yes, he needs to practice. And in hindsight now, I realize, and I've always had this mentality, Teron should be in bubble wrap. Teron should be in bubble wrap till we start the regular season. And then the regular season, you work your way into shape. Like, that's how we're going to get the best out of Teron.
Yeah, but a guy coming off of a knee procedure, I don't know if I would call it a surgery. I think it was more of a knee procedure. I mean, they have to get somehow back into game shape, don't they, Omar? I get it's Teron Armstead, and everything Tobin just said is right. We know he'll be great 13 weeks out of the season. He's going to miss 4 games. Like, I'm cool with that. I think all Dolphins fans are. But at some point, these guys need to get their reps in, and it's not going to be in a preseason game with Teron.
It's not.
God bless McDaniel if he chooses that.
No, he won't.
That injury, again, like somebody just rolling on the back of his leg, that could happen at any moment. That could happen week 1. It could happen, him just warming up.
But that's not game shape though. That's not getting himself game ready. But I hear what you're saying. The contact and the physicality is what makes football, and you have to be able to withstand and endure that. And Teron is a very physical player, which is why he's a very good player. Like, he mauls people, which everybody should love. If you watch him, like, there's a huge difference between Teron and everybody else. The problem is his style, his approach, his age. It means, like Tobin said, he's going to play 13 games.
Yeah.
And you just got to get comfortable with it.
You got to get comfortable with it. And it's also, didn't he say last year that like he could have had surgery that would have taken him out week 1? So the fact that it's like, it's just hard to get it off the ground is also nerve-wracking. And it's also because there's a domino effect to this offensive line is always got question marks on it. He's the star and the leader of it. And also you have a quarterback who has durability issues and I need him protected. So yeah, why there was so much panic on Thursday was just because I think a lot of Dolphins fans basically saw the season flash before their eyes.
Yeah.
They've already lost Jalen Ramsey. And if you would have lost Teron Armstead for any significant amount of time, I mean, I don't even know how I would respond to that.
Truthfully, guys, that's how I felt. I said season could be in jeopardy here because I understand it's not losing Tua Tagovailoa. I had this debate with Hawk and Crowder where they're saying, well, if you lose your starting left tackle, that shouldn't be the difference between you competing and not competing. And in my opinion, it is for this team because what's the number one question coming into camp? It's Tua's durability. Whether we like it or not, that's the reality. And who's the most important piece to keeping Tua in the games other than himself? It's Teron Armstead. So you replace Teron Armstead with who? That's my question. And
Kendall
I mean,
Lamb, Isaiah Wynn.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That is tough.
Oh no, without a doubt, it's tough. I would say I always keep a list. Sometimes I share it, sometimes I don't. Of the most irreplaceable Dolphins, like these guys, you lose these guys, your season is circling the drain. It's really it's going round and round, and it's getting flushed. And Teron Armstead is probably player number 2.
Yeah,
and on that list, and I think Tyreek Hill, he might be ahead of Tyreek Hill.
Oh, I think he is.
He is
because you got Waddle.
Yeah, you got Waddle.
I think they could. I don't want to lose Tyreek Hill, but like
you could make do.
You could make do, and you also have what it seems to be emerging, another elite wide receiver. It doesn't make you as unstoppable, but man, at least Tua, like I feel like he's protected. I'm with you, dude. He's number 2 for sure.
It's Tua and Teron. And by the way, we're talking about the expectations we've set on this team, right, Tobin? Because I mean, if you want to be, whatever, 500,
hold on.
fine.
What do we want to be? Because that's the important question that I think we really need to have a conversation. We really need to sit down and have an intervention with Dolphin fans, because when we're having this conversation, I know the conversation we had before training camp started, and I need to sit down and talk to you about realistic expectations.
We will get into all that. We got a lot of time coming up here on Game Day Uncensored as we get ready for the Dolphins' second preseason game from Houston, a 4:00 kickoff against the Texans. Back with more after this.
WQAM broadcasting live from the Ed Moore Sawgrass Auto Mall Studios.
and we can get to some of your comments there as you guys can enter the chat. Let's get to some keys to the game, which are brought to us by Ed Moore's Sawgrass Cadillac. Make sure your next Cadillac is backed by Morse at Ed Moore's Sawgrass Cadillac, proud partner of the Miami Dolphins, as we are getting ready for preseason game number 2, the Dolphins against the Texans. And as we were talking about it, boys, in the middle of the break, the big thing, the big key, how much 2 are we getting today? How much 2 are we getting today in preseason? How much 2 are we getting? How much do you think we should be getting in preseason game number 2 here, Solana?
I think my take is going to be a little different than both of you, so I'll go here. I want to see Tua. I understand the Teron Armstead injury kind of complicates things because now everybody's scared. It's in the back of your mind. Uh-oh, why are we going to be playing these guys? I get that. I don't want to see Tua go down, but, I mean, what is the objective for Tua Tagovailoa throughout preseason? Like, what is it at this point? Because with the way the season ended last year, I want to see this guy, I'm not saying get laid out, but just, take a hit.
You want to see him take a hit?
Get up.
Do you really want to see your quarterback take a hit?
Just a lick.
He needs
just a lick.
In any other circumstance, I'd say no, right? But with the way the season ended,
you want to see a jiu-jitsu somersault.
I actually would like to see that. I would like to see that.
Omar,
you need to see it right now. Not even when a game's counting.
I just think here's the thing that I would go with is they got these 2 games, then they got like 2 weeks off until game 1. So it's a lot of time. I think just for me, a couple series and just hearing him talk this week, it sounds like a guy who's kind of jonesing to get back out on the field. I think you give him a little something,
Well, he said he wanted to play in preseason game 1. He told McDaniel, and I think the quote, I think you had tweeted out, Omar, was, I got you, but no.
Yeah.
I got you, bro, but no. Well, Omar, what's the alternative then? Tua doesn't take snaps in preseason, and then the first time he returns to a football field from his 3rd concussion last season is going to be the first snap against the Chargers on the road week 1. Like, to me, that doesn't seem like a good strategy for a guy who went through a very difficult season last year and a very difficult process. He told us that he contemplated, and I know he shouldn't have said it, but he contemplated retirement. I mean, I want to make sure that everything's right for him.
You want all the doubt in his mind to just disappear after he gets a hit and he's like, oh, okay, it's all right.
Because you're saying, the quarterbacks don't get to live a true life in practice. They're getting touched by
you want him roughed up a little bit.
A little.
Just so he knows it's real. He doesn't. I don't even say I have to see him get hit, just so he knows he could get hit. Just
a little football.
Series,
and
dude.
you can't wait till next week. You got to have it now.
No, I think you should. I think you got to rev it up, dude. You take a little hit in practice. Give him 2 series. We'll see how it goes, and then you sit him down. You do this, Mike White, Skylar Thompson battle, and then but at least I know he feels good, gets the rust off, and then next week you could do a dress rehearsal.
Correct. And it's funny because I tried to nail down Mike McDaniel on his thought process because everybody doesn't understand. The scope of the preseason has changed within the last few years because of the new CBA and 3 preseason games and the ramping up of these joint practices. So everybody's trying to find their right rhythm and what they need to do. Understand that these joint practices, they're better than the games. They simulate situations, and it was a very entertaining joint practice. Now, I saw Tua, yes, he threw a pick 6 in this situational period in day 1 that allowed the Houston Texans to walk away with a celebrated victory from practice. And they earned it. Houston brought an intensity that Miami did not match. Day 2, the defense, I felt like they dominated the practice. They did well, except for the cornerbacks, a little bit of an issue. But they created 2 turnovers in their situational period. So they kept giving these Texans do-overs, and then Miami kept taking the ball away. And so you win. You get your crown. You win the day. But offensively, based on what I heard, the offense did okay. They didn't do bad. And they did it without Jalen Waddle. They did it without Alec Ingold. And that's part of my issue right now. Mike McDaniel said that he was going to determine whether Tua played based on how they performed in the week. And if that's what's the determining factor, then I say Tua doesn't play because he performed well enough, especially without key weapons.
Because he was clearly not pleased with things. I mean, he had an extra practice that he kind of just threw in there. We played the average clip last week, but it felt like the tone of it was a lot better this week. There was a lot less frustration, it seemed like, from the offense this week, where last week it kind of felt like, oh, we're talking penalties, we're talking disasters, nothing's in a rhythm. Things feel like a little bit more like, hey, we're coming along, getting ready for the season. I don't know if it's perfect, but it didn't feel like there was as much angst this week.
Which makes sense, by the way, right? Another extra week of practice, another team you're going up against. Like, if I want things to kind of be a disaster with the penalties, I want it to be week 1 of preseason rather than week 3 of preseason and having that sour taste in your mouth for the 2 weeks off before the regular season starts.
Absolutely. And I don't think they really had that much of an issue with penalties last week. But I will say this. Does the offense look how you would expect it to look, or look at the rate that it had to look like it looked last season? No, it does not. And there are a number of reasons and numbers of factors to it. Now, if you listen to Mike McDaniel, they're doing better because they have a better grasp of the language and terminology. Last year, it was like they went to Spain and had only taken Spanish 2 and knew the words but couldn't really communicate it, and that was a lot. This year, Tua is fluent in Spanish.
He was showing off to you guys.
Yeah.
Showing off to you guys. You have the play call from Tua, Trevor. He was letting people know. He goes, anybody who's worried, I got this thing down.
I can give you guys a play, and then if you guys want to repeat it after me, as if you guys were in the huddle, you guys can. All right. Should I go once or twice saying it? Once? All right. We got North Right Clamp, South Fox, H-Top, Pass 38, Top Gumby, XP Sweat. Let's go. Anyone?
I got North Right on Gumby Clamp. I got yours. Sounds like a false start.
Yeah, sounds like a pre-snap penalty to me. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness. Just to run this and this, you know?
A lot of words.
That play is probably like a quarterback sneak, by the way. But to understand when Tua gives, and their language and their verbiage is long and complicated. And that's something that has created problems for the young players, because rookies will sit here and they'll acknowledge, we don't know what the heck is going on. And we don't know, like Devon A-Chain, all these Dolphin fans are like, oh, he's going to be our starter. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be phenomenal. And realistically, Devon A-Chain's like, I don't know the plays. Yeah. I got like 5 plays. They're going to call them for me, and I'm going to be really fast.
Well, maybe you should play a little more Madden with Tyreek Hill, and he'll figure things out.
Get it together. Get it together, Devon. Come on.
But Tua has a better grasp of the language and terminology of the offense. Would I play him today? Maybe I'm shell-shocked because of Teron Armstead, but I don't see the benefit to it. Now, he might be out there for two series.
Couple series.
But what's the benefit? You just want to see him get
routine,
hit.
Just let me see Uno out there. Let me see him, see how things are going together.
I think you're being greedy.
I don't think I am. I don't think I'm being greedy, and I don't think Tua thinks I'm being greedy. I think Tua wants to be out there too.
Yeah. Okay, Teron also wanted to be out there
well,
too. What that get
He's
you?
Too old for that.
What did that get you?
Let me tell you something. And I maybe I understand my hypocrisy here. No Teron Armstead, just so we're clear. No Teron Armstead, no Tyreek Hill. No.
Oh, okay. So you're going to put your starting quarterback out there without his best protector and his best weapon.
Yeah, you got to get some new guys. He's got to handle everybody, Omar. Teron, we know Tyreek Hill knows how to be fast. I know Teron Armstead knows how to maul. You got 2 of your QB. You got to welcome in Chosen. You got to welcome in Braxton Barris. Get a little rapport going.
Oh, okay. So just a little bit of rapport. Okay, just a little bit of rapport without the proper left side protection. You're comfortable with that, right? You're
some rapport with the backups because you're going to need them for a few games.
I mean,
are.
I like Kendall Lamb. Kendall Lamb, who is probably going to be the left tackle, unless Isaiah Wynn's now going to be breaking case of emergency left tackle until Teron comes back, which is something that should be considered. And then you got the left guard. It's a hodgepodge. It's anybody's guess. You can name a guy, and I can tell you, yeah, he's got a good chance to be the left guard, the starting left guard, except for Liam Eichenberg. You can't name Liam Eichenberg. You got to take him out.
You just made me happier.
Well, that's the caveat, by the way. Like, I've come to terms with, if Tua gets reps, I want Liam Eichenberg in shorts on the sideline. Like, I don't want him anywhere near the offensive line if Tua is going to get some reps.
Maybe second team. Let's give him. Okay. Let's have him protect Mike White.
Yes.
But you want to put your starting quarterback, your fragile starting quarterback. Let's put this out here, right? You want to put your fragile starting quarterback on the road,
Yep.
without any game planning, without proper protection on your left side, without his best weapon.
What is whistle, dude? Just give him a little bit.
Taste,
sometimes with a horse, you gotta know how to give him a couple furlongs, and then all of a sudden he's ready for the race. You got to give Tua a couple. It's got to be for real skis. That's how it's got to be. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. 2 series.
2 series, dude.
2 series.
2 series. Go. I don't even care if he hands
6 hands-offs. 6 handoffs.
I'm fine with that.
That's cool.
Fine with that. Just let him go up. Maybe one throw. One throw.
One play action. Let him one little play action.
Let's see if
you gonna put him on move?
Yeah.
Well, what about if they bring a blitzer to that side?
Little bootleg.
But what about if they bring a blitzer to that side?
He's got to throw it away. That's what I want to see. I want to make sure he's not going to panic.
That's fair. That is a fair claim there. He does need to learn how to throw it away.
I'm just scared that he's not going to get reps in preseason. I don't know, by the way, but I'm scared he's not going to get reps in preseason. And week 1, Tua, Herbert, Park Dos is not going to go the way we want it to because Tua's not ready. That's what I'm scared of. And guess what? He got outplayed by Herbert in LA last season. And no matter what we say about that draft, all of us would have picked Tua other than, a select few people who claim they all knew Herbert was going to be great. Yeah,
Joe Rose, absolutely.
Technically, it's part Trace. Now, Tua won
the first one. Everybody ignores the first one.
Even though he threw for like 95 yards, doesn't matter. You win, you win.
You're right. I apologize. Part Trace.
Flores made him cut his hair. He was shook after that game, Herbert.
No matter what, that matchup is always going to be one that has a spotlight on it, and it's going to mean a little extra special for us here in South Florida. I don't want him to be like a deer in headlights because it's his first game action going up against Herbert on the road.
Not even a shotgun. You want some bootleg action.
A little bootleg. Omar.
You want a little bootleg.
I don't need bootleg, but I need 2 series. He can hand it off 6 times.
Without Tyreek.
Yeah.
Without his left side.
Again, I know he's good with Tyreek Hill. Let me see if he can get it to Chosen. Get it to Braxton Bears. Let me see.
You want him out there with his backup wide receivers.
Because what happens if there
hodgepodge at tight end?
You got to know what to do.
No fullback.
Yep.
All right.
A little bit. 2 series. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong in a non-contact practice like Teron Armstead suffered an injury with Thursday?
Don't save this for next week, Trevor. If something does go wrong, don't erase this forever. Don't bring this back to haunt me. We'll take a quick break here on Game Day Uncensored. Tobin, Omar Kelly, Alejandro Solana here with you, taking you up until 4:00 as the Dolphins are getting ready to take on the Houston Texans. We're back with more after this.
Hey, want to see the ugly mugs that go along with our melodious voices?
Do I have to worry about this?
We are on YouTube. That's great that you're doing that. All kinds of videos of your favorite hosts doing shows at events, shenanigans galore, and great interviews.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Someone tell me how to feel.
So easy to find us. Just go to YouTube and search WQAM. Don't miss out. So next
Uncensored, where football lives. AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by South Florida Lexus dealers, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, JM Lexus, and Williamson Automotive.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here on WQAM. Tobin, Omar Kelly, and Alejandro Solana getting you ready for Fins and Texans. Preseason game number 2, a matchup of former 49ers coordinators, Mike McDaniel against his buddy DeMeco Ryans. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if we get a little bit more action. I'll tell you what, last week was not a fun watch, Omar. That was not an enjoyable preseason watch, especially it was a very, very a bad unraveling there at the end with the special teams.
Yeah, outside of the unraveling, I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, special teams.
Red zone offense, though?
Okay, you didn't. But you got there.
What? You got there?
You got there. You could have 3 and out.
But with the amount of times you got there, to not put up 3 points in midway through the late third quarter?
You chose to not kick the field goals. So didn't you? And when you didn't want to kick the field goals, why not? It doesn't matter. The game doesn't matter. But then now at the end, guys like you are like, oh God, it would look horrible. It unraveled in 5 minutes. Skylar Thompson could have easily put together a fourth with proper protection, of course, because he didn't have that, as you clearly saw.
Mm-hmm.
And with proper protection, he could have rallied the team to a touchdown and you would have won and you would have celebrated a 10-3 victory. But it unraveled. It just spiraled out of control. You're playing. And this is part of the problem that I have. I sat here and I from day one of training camp, even before they began the season, I was like, okay, you're top shelf heavy. You got top shelf. Your backups, a little suspect, a little sussy. And people are like, oh, you're just a crybaby. You're complaining. How they got depth, they got backups. No, you don't. You saw you didn't have any backups, and that impacts you on special teams too. So, and that's my thing about this roster. Backups, kind of sussy.
Well, there was one of those games too. You're getting a lot of backups because what did they say? 30 guys last week?
Yeah, 30, 32, 33.
All right. So you think Tua shouldn't play? You're implying that, but
yeah, I'm not playing Tua.
But you think it's not going to look like last week where they're sitting?
No. Some guys will get warmed up. Xavier should not play in the preseason at all. We're in agreement for that.
He's on the list too. Bubble wrap.
Yeah, I got a short list of, and I don't know if I'm playing my linebackers. I'm maybe Jerome Baker. You can't afford to lose a linebacker. I'm sorry, you just can't. The season doesn't happen without one of them. So I'm probably not playing Jerome because I think David Long has something to prove. He's got to show a little bit of consistency. I haven't noticed Jerome all training camp, and that's not a bad thing for him.
He's not getting cooked.
Yeah. He's not getting cooked. With these tight ends, you're not cooking nobody. Sorry, I apologize if it hurts your feelings. But the equivalent of what they did this offseason with the tight ends is they ran the ball 3 times and punted, and that's your tight end situation.
Not surprising though, because Mike McDaniel, he needs a certain type of guy who's going to do everything. We saw last year, if you're receiver oriented as a tight end and that's all you could do, you got no use. You got no use.
No, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair. It's not that you're not just a receiver. It's that you can't block.
That's what samesies, dude. You're being the semantic samurai.
Hold on, wait. Kyle Pitts is a receiver tight end, but he can block. This is a difference. I think if Kyle Pitts was on this offense, they'd have pretty significant use for him.
Listen, I'm with you. When I say he's just a receiver, they call you a tight end, but you're a turnstile.
Yeah. And
and he's coming from a high mark. You had George Kittle in San Francisco. I get it. It's a hard standard to probably live up to because I know what the best looks like. And so I don't know what could please him. I don't know I know it wasn't Mike Gesicki. And if he couldn't find it this offseason, so he's just
but I think Omar's right when he says, they ran it 3 times and punted. They didn't prioritize tight end. No. We would agree. They didn't prioritize it at all. So he's not wrong. And that could be an area where they go out and try to find somebody else, right? Once other teams start making their cuts. But yeah, like if we're looking for weak spots on this roster, especially backups, as Omar's saying, which are suspect, tight end, if it's not one, it's two, right? If it's not the one area of concern, it's probably two.
Three.
Three?
A left guard, strong safety, and then I put tight end underneath it.
Yeah, because we've already basically seen them punt on it. Like, I get that they had Gesicki last year, but they basically punted on it last year too. They were just,
well, hold on. $11 million paycheck to a tight end you're not going to use. That ain't punting.
Well, here's the thing, though.
It was a bad decision.
It was a bad decision. Like, but when I say punted, I mean it didn't really factor in their offense that much.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by it.
Because all these guys have these dreams that they can teach Mike Gesicki how to block, and then they actually watch Mike Gesicki block, and they're like, all right.
I don't understand why he can't block, because I've seen, like, Mike Gesicki, I look at him, I'm just like, you're a specimen. Why are you no good at this?
A pretty boy?
Soft.
I don't understand it. Like, we all saw the footage of you doing crazy things, and I see you're a behemoth.
That's crazy things. He's a volleyball player playing football. That's
weird. It's a weird thing.
Football's a tough physical game, man. If you don't want to get tough and physical, it's not for you.
One guy who is tough and physical and really fast, Tyreek Hill, monster troll. He's breathtaking with what he can just flies out of his mouth. I honestly wish his podcast was during the season too, so he could just say more crazy stuff. But this week he decided, I'm gonna really just push buttons. And Tyreek Hill let everybody know for his preparation. Doesn't watch film.
Man, believe this or not, I don't watch no film, bro. Like, I just know the game of football inside out. Like, I've been playing this game since I was a kid, since I was like 5, 6, and I grew up in a football household. So, plus my dad was a coach. You feel me? So I know every defense. I know every defensive line. What they doing. Like, I know everything. The safety's gonna tell the story. Like, I know all of it. And when I first came into the league, obviously I was athletic. Obviously, I had the ability to make plays, but the next step is being able to recognize coverages, being able to understand a DB's leverage and what certain releases you need to use. So I've been all about that, and I'm getting the young guys on that too, though. Whether it's Waddle, whether it's other guys in our room, you feel me?
Yeah. Oh, great. I'm getting everybody on. We're not watching film. We're revolutionizing the game, everybody.
Yeah.
We're changing things up.
Coverages, who needs to see that?
It is funny, though, where, like, we just spent 2-3 weeks celebrating Zach Thomas, the guy who had binders on every single team. Nobody worked harder than Zach Thomas, but nobody studied more than our Hall of Famer, Zach Thomas. And then Tyreek Hill 3 days later. Yeah, we're not going to watch film anymore. That's overrated.
Film. And then, just to add on top of the trolling, which is, he's a master at it. He let everybody in on his secret. Without film, this is how he preps for game day.
Nah, so I feel like Madden has a good tell of how good players are. So I just play Madden the night before, and I go look at all their ratings. So let's say, for instance, they had Steve Nelson and Derek Stingley over there, 2 phenomenal players, by the way. I just go get on Madden. I go to the EA rosters, then I scroll down and see what their awareness is, their speed is, and they sprint, and that's how I get a good tell on them.
Amazing. He's amazing. He's amazing.
In his defense, I will say those Madden ratings are pretty accurate. Whether players would agree or disagree or not, Chad Ochocinco, my homeboy, he now runs the Madden ratings.
Yeah,
he does.
Yes, he does. He is the lead in Madden rating.
That's pretty awesome. If that's that, so he got that gig because he was one of the originators of like video games. Like, he would like, who wants to play me in FIFA? He'd be on Twitter. So that's pretty awesome.
Huge esports guy.
They did ruin. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see they ruined the Waddle though?
They have the Waddle. They made it look horrible,
dude. They ruined the Waddle.
I gotta look it up.
I'm gonna show it to you. He looks like a zombie. Like everybody knows and I would say it's probably the most famous touchdown celebration in the league right now. People in the World Cup were doing it. Teams were mocking the Dolphins.
Mike Gesicki's gritty is pretty good.
No, he ruined it. He killed it.
It's pretty popular though.
It is very popular, but I feel like us as a signature, anybody can do the gritty. The Waddle is
real. Mike Gesicki proves that not everybody can do the gritty. Yes,
I don't know what he was doing, but the point is, Jalen Waddle's celebration, the Waddle. you thought they would have nailed this. Put the suit on with the little
balls or whatever, the sensors.
He looks like Walking Dead. He looks like he's coming to eat my brains. That's what they made him into. And I'm very mad at Madden about this.
Not to sound like too much of a nerd, but Madden not being able to do something well, it shouldn't surprise anybody every single year because the game's trash every year. I will say, though, I prepared for our pregame show today by just playing with the Houston Texans on Madden last night. So I want to fill everybody in. I'm using Tyreek Hill's tactics for today's pregame show.
Man, I will say this. Because I don't pay attention to that division much, I did learn a lot about their defense and their offense from watching them practice. That Nico Collins, my goodness gracious, did he roast Miami's cornerbacks for 2 straight days? I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he's had like 40 catches a year the last 2 years. I'm like, this guy's ready to come up. They had Robert Woods, who I think is a very accomplished, savvy slot receiver, well aware of who he is. But Nico Collins, boy, that guy was cooking the Miami Dolphins, and it made me a little bit concerned about that cornerback spot.
We'll talk some more Texans coming up in the next hour. DJ Bien Ame is going to join us. He covers the Texans for ESPN. But yes, Tyreek Hill, you did your job. You got on ESPN. They debated, does he really not watch film? And who knows what next he's going to say. I'm going to catch for 3,000 yards. And I'm going to pass for 4 touchdowns. I don't know. Who knows what crazy thing
he did explain this is experimentation that's going on in his serious moments. And I think Tyreek is trying to be serious when he says, all these crazy things to I don't know what the motivation is to troll us or I don't get it. I know
what the motivation is. He does this on Twitter too. He just loves to watch back in and watch the world burn with crazy things that are
stirs the pot. He likes to
He's
stir
a pot
the pot.
stirrer.
Yeah,
he's a pot stirrer.
I genuinely believe. I told you guys this last week. He just gets up into the mic and he doesn't think about what he's saying. He just wants to say things, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, and by the way, yeah, I just play Madden to figure out my next opponent." Like it just popped in his head. He's like, "That'd be funny to say," so he says it. I don't think he's trying to troll, but I also don't think he's trying to be serious football guy, coach speak. Like, he's going to say whatever the hell he wants because he doesn't care. He's Tyreek Hill.
He's interesting, though. It keeps it interesting.
Yes,
I love it. I'm interested.
I'm in on it too. And listen, he's awesome too. Like, that doesn't hurt when you can run like he can run. And
I've never seen anybody faster.
Yeah, when you set the Dolphins franchise record in your first year, you say crazy things, Kyrie. Whatever you want.
Go ahead.
Whatever you want. We got a little bit of a interesting turn on the drama this week with Christian Wilkins and his contract situation. We will get into that as Game Day Uncensored rolls on after this.
Dolphins underway. We've got the latest from training camp, news, notes,
actually get to nitty-gritty coaching on certain things to get better at.
This is Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami fans on South Florida's #1 sports station, AM 560 AM.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by South Florida Lexus Dealers. Experience amazing by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day. Pour me in, coach. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Make sure your next Cadillac is backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Proud partner of the Miami Dolphins by JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage. And by Williamson Automotive. Williamson is Miami.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Game Day Uncensored here with you. It is Tobin, Omar Kelly, and Alejandro Solana on WQAM. We continue our coverage as we are getting ready for preseason game number 2, Miami Dolphins taking on the Houston Texans. They had joint practices this weekend. Were there any skirmishes, Omar?
No skirmishes. No. Yeah, actually,
everybody else is having fun.
Jeff Wilson, and and something Harris got into it a little bit.
Oh, was it Christian Harris?
Probably Christian Harris. Yeah.
Did Wilson win?
I don't know. I told you I didn't watch offense, so I just heard about it. But no. The defense was kind of beating up on Houston so much they didn't want to.
Fangs was just making the rookies' life a living hell.
Fangs?
Yeah, like Fangs.
Who's Fangs?
Big Fangio.
Oh,
Fangs up, dude.
Who's Fangs?
Who's Fangs?
I had no idea.
Fangs, dude.
Fangs?
Fangs.
Yeah, dude. When you see him, whatever the next is, what's up, Fangs?
Okay.
You're not gonna do that to him?
No.
He doesn't look like he likes nicknames.
Fangs. Okay. I was like, who is Fangs?
But a little rough, like Fangs.
Yeah.
You know, like football, Fangs.
Okay.
But like Fang, yeah. If I tried to call him Fangs, he'd be like, "Get the hell out of my face."
I'm curious because I don't know.
Because he's not nickname guy, Tobin.
No.
Dude, no, he's not.
Yeah, I don't think he's a grumpy old man.
Yeah,
he's not nickname guy.
I see that hat he wears. He's not now.
But hold on, like the idea of Fangs coming in, maybe rub off a little bit on Mike McDaniel. Maybe the same thing's happening the other way. McDaniel loves nicknames. Maybe it's rubbing off a little on old Fangio.
I could picture Vic Fangio walking in. Mike McDaniel starts one of his soliloquies and just walking out, and he doesn't even realize like he's turned his back and he's like, "Vic, where'd you go?" Like I could not think of an odder couple than those two together. I love it. Like don't get me wrong, they got the best.
Hey man, they wanted to be together last year and it wasn't allowed. So hey,
weird, right?
I mean,
I understand. Happens. Like I kind of got it because it was like you wanted all the focus for McDaniel to be on the offense. Let's keep this consistency going with the defense.
Yeah,
but that's Fangs, dude. I'm telling you, you call him Fangs next time. Let's see how it goes.
No.
Speaking of his defense, though, we know one guy he likes, Christian Wilkins. It was confirmed this week. You were telling us that last week. You're like, I don't see Christian Wilkins doing team drills recently. And Mike McDaniel was asked about it this week. And here's the Dolphins head coach on the situation with Christian Wilkins.
You know, Christian's such a good player, such an important person in the locker room, who has made it clear that he feels that his play is deserving of a contract. We would agree as the Miami Dolphins organizations. Henceforth, we are in negotiations. And as a result, he's hasn't been participating in the team. And, you know, when he next participates, that'll be up to him. Okay.
Are you comfortable with that plan?
You know, every player is, you know, it's like a snowflake, I would say, unique to itself. So, you know, I'm comfortable with the situation as it stands. You know, Christian and I are in constant communication. And, you know, this is part of the business that a lot of teams are dealing with.
Masterful.
That is the best way to put it. This is part of the business that a lot of teams are dealing with.
Thought you were going to say it's like a snowflake.
No, but you guys, you're both like snowflakes, okay?
That's exactly how a football player wants to be referred to.
Yeah, everybody's unique. Every situation is unique, and truthfully speaking, this is a very unique situation. And to their credit and benefit, Christian has done this as nicely and as politely as I've ever seen it done.
For sure.
He showed up, he practiced, he dominated practice for 2 straight weeks, and then spoke to the media, and then said, okay, I'm shutting it down till the regular season begins until you get me a new deal. And he could take the Nick Bosa approach, because Nick Bosa is in the identical same position as him. What is Nick Bosa with the 49ers? What has he done?
He's holding out.
He's holding out. He's not showing up to training camp. He's saying, give me my money. And unfortunately for Nick Bosa, because of the new CBA, and people got to understand, the day of the holdouts are done. Nick Bosa has cost himself $950,000 doing this holdout. Money that he cannot get back, no matter if he signs a new deal. Chris Jones, right now, the pass rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs, he will probably get the highest paid contract for a defensive tackle when a deal is eventually done. But right off the top of it is going to be $1 million in fines because he's participating in a holdout. Christian is too cheap to hold out. And he's too smart to hold out, because I will make the argument you're an idiot if you're holding out.
He's also very cheap, though, and he'll acknowledge, like, that's not me taking a shot. He'll acknowledge it. He famously told the media that he doesn't order lemonade. He orders water and lemons on the side, and he makes his own lemonade with sugar. Like, he is a very frugal person. And he'll, again, I'm not taking shots. He'll admit it.
You get free refills on lemonade. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but he likes to make his own lemonade.
What is it, $2.50?
Nah, you got it. I'm a lemonade guy. It's like the $6 choice.
Yeah.
Inflation, yeah.
It's gone nuts.
I mean,
down here.
Technically, Christian probably could walk with that little flavor, little packet, and get squirted in.
Crystal Light?
No, it can't be Crystal Light. That's disgusting. But yeah, you can. I'm trying to think now. If I want to bring down my price on things, it's not a bad option.
I mean, it racks up, right? You go to a restaurant, you got to order a lemonade, you got to get a refill.
No. Here's what racks up. When you go to a restaurant, I hate drink orderers. If you order a drink, fine. If you order 2 and it's on my tab, now you just cost me $40 on 2 drinks, and then don't you finish that drink. I don't care how watery it gets. Swallow it.
Oh, I take all the residuals from a drink. I like when the ice melts into it so I can get every last drop. It's just good class. Like, I don't care. It is. You know, but for his, the only thing I would say with this, with Mike confirming that they're in negotiations and saying all that, but I would say if Christian Wilkins made his point and then is like, okay, now I'm shutting it down, that doesn't make me feel like negotiations are going great.
No,
I feel like if negotiations were going along the right way, he would just keep practicing. But because they're probably not going to where, I get it. This is what you have to do. You have to make a stink in some type of way. It's a minimal stink. He's not doing it he's not putting up the statement like Xavier Howard was.
Hey,
but
man, that was a smart move. I think Xavier was probably a little bit better in this situation than Christian Wilkins was. Christian Wilkins wants to be the nice guy. In negotiations, you can't be the nice guy.
Well, I'm just wondering, do you think that this is a sign that it's not going great, and are we going to get a resolution of this? Where does this go from here?
I've said from the beginning, I don't think the Miami Dolphins will extend Christian. And here's the reason why I continue to say that, and I continue to believe that. If a deal was going to be done, it would have already been done. If you're the Miami Dolphins, you don't have to pay Christian more than $16 million a year. Maybe if you want to be generous, you pay him $16.5 million a year, because that's what you have him locked up for the next 2 years. Now, it won't be easy to use the franchise tag on him next year, because you got to create that kind of cap space, but you can do it. You can protect yourself, and you can make sure that you don't lose Christian. Right now, Christian is not going to accept a deal for less than $18.5 million a year, and he's not about to leave $2 million on the table. But you've already got him locked up for $2 million, so that's an impasse. That's a $5 million. That's a $7.5 million impasse that I'm not sure we can find a common ground towards.
The thing that I just think is slippery for them is, one, he's your guy.
Yes, he is.
Two, I feel like he is like the heart of that defense.
Yes, he is.
100 tackles nearly from that position is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And not paying him, I don't know, man. First of all, I think he's very valuable. Second of all, I just think it's a bad look. You didn't pay Dalvin Cook, so you didn't use that money for him. I just feel like, and you know what's down the road with other guys that you got to take care of too.
But here's the thing. Here's the problem that I have with people who say you got to take care of Christian. Okay, if I take care of Christian, then I can't take care of everybody else, or I can take care of everybody else and then leave Christian. You understand what I'm saying? He's at such a pay bracket where it's like, if I take care of him, it's going to create financial complications down the road. And yes, it's going to be lower his cap this year by probably about $4 million. But then next year's cap, which is when you're already busted and bankrupt, is at his number's going to be at $20 million. And one way or the other, it's going to be at $20 million. If it's
right,
franchise
it would be
tag.
anyway, right?
Yeah, but why not keep that money that you have? And this is talking about the financial economics of the NFL. There's such a thing called cap carryover. If you do not use the money, it carries over to next year and it's added to your cap number. So that's why when people say, I always say the cap is not real, because the cap isn't real. While the cap might be $246 million this year, there are some teams that are $40 million in carryover cap where they could spend $280. The Dolphins always traditionally carry cap carryover. One, for emergency situations, like when they had to sign Jay Cutler. Two, for emergency trades, like when they had to trade for Chubb and Bradley Chubb and Jeff Wilson. And they didn't even have the space for that. They had to restructure Jerome Baker's contract to make that work. And that put them in a tough bind, because now they had to honor Jerome Baker's contract another year. And that's what people have to understand. There's domino effect and complications to every decision that you made financially. And I continue to warn Dolphin fans, while I do say the cap isn't real, after a certain period of time where you're living off credit card debt, and that's what the Dolphins have been doing with this team and how they built this roster. They have been living off credit card debt for the last 2 years. Once you do that, then the cap becomes real and you have to purge your roster. So whether they do it next offseason or the offseason after that, especially once the Tua deal comes into the equation, you're going to have to purge your roster. And it's not going to be pretty.
Well, that's the thing that they gotta figure out too, is just like one of the big things that's going to show with Tua this year, if he is going to be worthy of that extension, is he that guy? Is he going to be? Now, look, you don't even have to be that great, and we're seeing the quarterback money getting insane.
It's at $40 million just for an average quarterback.
Yeah, it's crazy for where it's gotten. But with Christian Wilkins, like, if you told me today, like, hey, we're going to go forward with this thing, we gave all this money to Bradley Chubb, and one of those guys has to walk, and like, I'm going with Christian Wilkins, dude. Like, I can't have that guy off my roster. Like, the whole point of it is, isn't Jalen Phillips going to eventually be your key pass rusher, and maybe you can find another guy down the line? Like, that's the game that they have to play. And man, I'm cool. I love stars, so I'm not blaming Chris Greer here. Love the fact that they're going to taking home run cuts, getting Chubb. Love the fact that they're doing it with Jalen Ramsey, even though he's hurt. Love it that they did with Tyreek Hill. But I feel like with Wilkins, it's just like, that's kind of I don't know. I just feel like this is going to get to a spot where it is bad with their own guys, and they're not taking care of them.
The history of this franchise, and I will say this, and I will warn you again, is that they pay everybody else. They do not take care of their own.
Which is what I was going to ask you, because we talk about down the line. I mean, we knew this situation was coming last year. We all talked about, well, they're going to have to pay Christian Wilkins at some point, right? They go out, they give Bradley Chubb that money. And you're saying if they were going to extend Christian Wilkins, they would have already done it now. Was that kind of the writing on the wall when they gave Bradley Chubb that money? No. Hey, it's probably not going to go to Christian Wilkins.
You still have the money. You still have the opportunity to do it. Unfortunately, the negotiations isn't going very well, because you have him at a point where he's at $16.5 million. You have him there. Why are you offering him more? Why would you offer him more? What's the benefit? Just to be a nice guy? Just to be a nice team?
Be a nice guy, dude. You know you love him. He's got his Hamilton music. He's a great energy
He does
guy.
everything right.
Everything right.
He's the leader of the defense.
He's in Josh Allen's head.
He's absolutely durable.
He's been everything that they've wanted when they drafted him. You know, guy comes over, sets a winning culture. Like, I just think that he's done everything right, and he's gotten better.
Just because he's done everything right, that doesn't mean you get a new contract.
It doesn't?
No.
But what do you do?
I don't know.
Do you think it's like people will say, like, though, with him, and we do have to, so, like, just quickly, like, do you think that the big holdup is that, like, people will say, they look at him and say, hey, he doesn't get to the quarterback enough? Do you think that's a big issue as to why this is held up?
Yes, he does not have impact stats. But if he goes and gets it impact stats in Vic Fangio's defense, they're screwed. They're screwed. No matter what, they're locked. So you either do it now or you do it later. Because I think he will have big Vic Fangio. I would think he will have big impacts numbers in Vic Fangio's defense based on what I saw the first 2 weeks.
We'll get the other side of things as we lead up to Dolphins Texans preseason game number 2. DJ BN Ame is going to join us. He covers the Texans for ESPN Game Day Uncensored. Back after this.
AM broadcasting live from the Edmore Sawgrass Auto Mall Studios. Shop massive savings on a massive Chevy inventory, all backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Visit EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com. Chevy, find new roads. Listen to Messi and Inter Miami games here.
The whistle sounds. Messi approaches. He goes for it. And he scores! Lionel Messi on his debut has produced a moment of magic. Everyone came to see.
Presented by Celsius Essential Energy Drinks, the official energy drink of Inter Miami CF. Pass to Celsius. Celsius, still Celsius. Goal! Celsius Essential Energy.
Where football lives. AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by South Florida Lexus dealers, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, JM Lexus, and Williamson Automotive.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored. Tobin here with you alongside Omar Kelly and Alejandro Solana as we are getting ready for preseason game number 2. Dolphins taking on the Texans today. We will see. I'm sure they'll put out that list soon of who we will not expect to play today in this game. Hopefully it's a lot shorter than last week's, which was like 40 guys or something like that. It felt like the list never ended last week of guys who aren't going to play. I've never even seen a list like that. Like, this is who we expect we're not going to play. Here's how long it is. We'll see what that is. But hopefully maybe we'll get a little bit more action today than we did in preseason game number 1. But let's flip things over. It was a joint practice against the Houston Texans this week. Let's go out to the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop hundreds of Toyotas indoors in one of America's largest showrooms at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. DJ Bien Ame joins us there. He covers the Texans for ESPN. DJ, thanks for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys having me.
What was the your input, DJ, on who won the practices? Just give us a flat out winner. Who won the joint practices this week? Who'd you like?
I would say Miami won the joint practices when it was 1 versus 1. Obviously, I mean, even the Texans twos, they didn't really do much. In all honesty, their best shot was 1 versus 1. I think the best competition was the Texans defense versus offense. I think that's when you got more consistent competition, more entertaining play. You know what I'm saying? Because, even though the Texans, the first day, they allowed Tua and company to move up and down during the 2-minute drill. You saw at the end, Jalen Petrie in cover 4 jumped that slant route to Robbie Anderson to take that back to the crib. So I think, Texans D versus the Dolphins O is probably the best competition. I think the Dolphins first team defense versus Texans first team offense was a tad bit of a mismatch, in all honesty. So I guess if I had to pick a winner, yeah, it would be the Dolphins. But it should be the Dolphins, right? They're in year 4 of the Tua era, where the Texans are basically in year 1 of their, not rebuild, but like year 1 of C.J. Stroud and D'Amico Ryan.
I think people don't realize DJ is a South Florida guy, and he's a little bit of a homer. He is.
Why are you doing that to him?
Listen, I got to put him out there.
I'm a homer?
Yeah, you're being a little bit. I mean, you might be covering the Texans, but you're a little bit. Come on,
DJ, you think what you think. You don't have to apologize for that.
I'm not being a homer. I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't disagree with your assessment, but come on, you get a pick 6 in a situational period. You walking away with that victory for the day.
For the day? So hold on. We're gonna ignore the fact that like the Texans offense couldn't do much in between the 20s on day 1.
Okay, no, I will agree with you on that. The Texans couldn't do anything on offense, and for both days, situational period, I will give the Dolphins defense the victory both days. But now you're saying so you don't think the offense? Okay, the offense went 1-1, right? The Dolphins offense,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they too, during that 2-minute drill, I mean, it was even worse. Like they really couldn't move the ball at all.
All right. So So you're right. The Dolphins won 3-1. Okay. I apologize.
Yeah. We can go with that. For sure. Yeah. But like it was hard to even decipher because again, no Armstead, no Tyreek during that last 2-minute drill, and no Waddle. It was weird, man. At times, it was like, what can we really evaluate on both sides? From the Texans defense to the Dolphins versus the Dolphins offense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was kind of hard to evaluate because again, the Texans defense did have a good showing at times, but their better showings was when Tyreek wasn't on the field. And when they go against better offenses, during the season, they're not going to face teams that don't have their star receiver or star weapons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of tricky to really like dissect what I was seeing. Because of course they should be able to stop any offense that's missing their star tackle and down both their star receivers.
I will agree with you. And let me say, to evaluate the Houston squad, George Fant, he has no business being in the NFL. Jalen Phillips just beat him to death. Like, took all the life out of him all week. I gotta say, I know Texan fans are having a field day with me, but I didn't know who Nico Collins was before. I knew who he was, but I didn't know he was like that. He really exposed Miami secondary and made me realize this is an issue. You're not as good as you think you are from a secondary standpoint. And you're not, either Nico Collins is going to be that dude this year, or you're not ready to play NFL games.
Okay, so when you say Nico exposed, because I'm a guy that thinks the Texans receiving core is a bit of an issue. So when you say Nico exposed their secondary, like outside of one-on-ones, right? Because I only focus on teams for wide receivers. I don't recall Nico making that many plays. I remember the one play during the first 2-minute drive on day one where CJ held the ball for a while. So he scrambled out and they threw it to Nico down the sideline on a broken play for like a 20-yard gain. And I remember the in cut basically on a bang 8 on the second day where he beat Eli Apple. Yes. Where some people say he might have been able to score some.
Oh, he would have definitely. There was no safety behind him.
I've never seen Nico take it to the crib though like that. Like I watched Nico all last year.
So the guy that he beat was Eli Apple?
Yes, it was.
Okay,
come on.
Hold on, wait a minute. Eli Apple's got like 60 NFL starts. He's been an 8-year starter in this league. Let's put some respect on Eli Apple's name now.
Eli's respectable. I respect Eli.
I'm supposed to put respect on the guy that Tyreek Hill says I get to embarrass him every day in practice. That's the guy I got to respect. They make a meme where they put his jersey number on burnt toast.
Listen, that's your cornerback. That's probably going to be your starting cornerback. He beat Noah a couple of times. Literally, yes, on that bang 8, like that was to the crib, bro. There was no safety there. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why is there no safety, like protecting the coverage on that one? And it just exposed to me, Noah is still Noah, because I saw that day one they were getting Noah in zone. And what those joint practices showed me is that Noah has no business still playing man-to-man. And and if you're going to be in a situation where sometimes you're going to have to play man-to-man, you're telling me that Noah can't be on the field? I mean, Nico Collins looked like that. I was like, whoa, wait a minute here.
None of this is making me feel comfortable.
And then Cam Smith, they put Cam Smith out on the field because Noah was getting burnt. Eli was getting burnt. Right after Eli burned him, they put Cam Smith on the field. He lasted all of 2 plays till the Texans ran at him and then didn't respect the red jersey, and they had to pull him off the field. So, to evaluate the Texans, DJ, I thought your tight ends did a really good job against Miami's defense.
Yeah.
I agree. Which either indicates to me that your tight ends are pretty good, or Miami might struggle covering tight ends. I don't know what the answer to that is.
I think Dalton Schultz is obviously one of the better tight ends in this league. That was the guy that was really giving Dolphins some issues. But he's given since I believe he got here in 2023. So from 2019 to 2022, he was top 10 amongst tight ends in receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and receptions among tight ends. He was top 10 in all those categories over that span of time. So he's just a really good tight end, a really productive player. Like he's a good player. So again, it's like give and take, right? Like a really good tight end is gonna be able to eat against a lot of defenses. But again, that's no excuse to basically be, at times a very dangerous threat against the Miami Dolphins defense.
DJ, I know you're kind of keeping your focus on Houston, obviously, but you got to watch the Dolphins. Other than Noah Igbenogany and Eli Apple, who we just learned got toasted a couple times, who really stood out to you from the Dolphins, where you were kind of watching their practice after a couple days and you said, damn, like he's a baller?
Yeah, I mean, I think the front is a lot better than I know it's going to be good, but I think it could be really good. Like on paper, it could be really good because, again, like you mentioned, George Fant getting absolutely walloped by Jalen Phillips. I mean, it's funny, in 2021, George Fant actually had one of his best years of his career, to the point where the Jets were thinking about giving him an extension. It's just that he had knee surgery at the end of that season, so he couldn't get that. They didn't want to give him the extension off rip because they didn't know how his knee would recover. And then obviously he struggled a little bit last year, but he's still a respectable starter. But then seeing this week, it was like Jalen Phillips was having his way, time in and time out. You know, like it was easy for him at times. So that was like, okay, the Texans offensive line, you know, because their starting right tackle was Titus Howard, and he wasn't out there. And I was like, okay, George Frank can come in and replace him and be respectable and not be an embarrassment. But I don't think it's an embarrassment, but Lord, if the Texans don't get that situation figured out, it could be bad week one. And a lot of credit goes to Jalen Phillips for exposing that to that extent.
DJ, how much CJ Stroud do you think the Texans will roll out there today?
I think we'll get like last week we got 2 series. I think this week we'll possibly get 4 because he's basically like the de facto starter. They didn't have a name of the starter, so they're actually treating him like he is the starter. Where when he's out there, all right, let's get him to a few reps just so we can get him comfortable and then kind of go from there. So I don't really think we're going to see too much of him. And when he is out there, we just need to see a clean, effective operation, a very clean, effective operation. Last week was, while he wasn't all on him, the offensive line didn't do him any favors. And we saw, as Omar can tell you, during joint practices, there were a lot of plays where the offensive line was getting beat on the interior also to put CJ under pressure. So,
DJ, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
No problem.
There you go. DJ Biename joining us there. He covers the Texans for ESPN. We appreciate him joining us. We'll roll on with more Game Day Uncensored after this.
Breaking news from AM 560 Sports WQAM is presented by BetQL. Smarter bets.
WQAM. Tobin here alongside Omar Kelly, Alejandro Solana. Did I do no flair that time?
Alejandro.
Alejandro Solana. I was trying to get as much sazon as you want.
Sazon.
A little something, Get those, put the right emphasis on the right syllable. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
Solana?
I like it. I like it.
Hey, let's get to our players to watch, which is brought to us by our friends over at South Florida Lexus dealers. Experience amazing players to watch. Last week's Omar, we got a lot of players didn't play.
Yeah.
Do you expect today there to be more regulars playing, and if so, which ones are you most interested in?
For me, a guy that played extensive minutes last game was Emmanuel Ogbah. And the irony of that is Emmanuel Ogbah is your highest paid Dolphin right now, based on base salary, $15 million this year. And he's in a little bit of a transition because he's trying to learn how to play the position standing up. He's a hand in the ground, 4-3 defensive end, and he's really being asked to become an outside linebacker. And while he says he can technically play with his hand to the ground, it doesn't benefit him, especially if he's got to drop back in pass coverage. But so it'll be another extensive look. I think this is also an audition because if a team with a 4-3 team wants Emmanuel Ogbah, all you got to do is call Miami and say, we'll give you some nickels and a pack of bubble gum.
That's what I'm at. I'm like, does this get to a point? I don't even know what the cap ramifications are of that with trading him, but like, has he not? Like, how do they not even do everything they can to move him if he's just not that weird? Because that's such an awkward thing for a guy of his credentials to play that much in a first preseason game.
It smells to me like we're trying to trade you. We need to figure out how to make this happen. And here's the reason why. One, they've pretty much replaced him. Not to say that they've got good backups, but they don't even have him working as a defensive lineman in this scheme. Right now, they got Deshaun Hand playing ahead of him. They added him last week. So you would think they would like cross-train him at both positions. They're like, nah, he's not a defensive lineman. He's an outside linebacker. So I think that they're just intentionally trying to shop him. And the reason why I think they're intentionally trying to shop him is because if you remove his $15 million salary from this team, they can go out and they can sign everybody.
Yes.
They get that relief immediately, and it benefits them. And they say, Robert Hand, we can do a deal. Zach Sealer, we can do a deal. It creates so much financial relief for them. So they would benefit them to just unload him, and hell, maybe even say to a team, we'll pony up some of that salary. We'll pony up $5 million, $6 million, just like they did with with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I think that that's being done. I have no confirmation. We'll find out after the next exhibition game. They got 2 weeks to make these trades happen. Yeah. So that's one of the guys to watch. Hopefully he has a good game. I'm an Emmanuel Ogbah fan. I just don't. It's not working right. It's not going to pan out here. And then we got Kendall Lamb. Kendall Lamb is a guy
Kendall Lamb, dude.
He's really, really impressed me. He has really, really impressed me. Now, am I telling you he's Teron Armstead? No, that's not what I'm saying.
I heard McDaniel talking about him this week. Like, he's clearly for, Kendall Lamb, like, oh, he's not playing? Like, and so, like, that's got to be a nod to, hey, I want to keep this guy protected this first game.
I asked that question because I needed an answer. Like, why would you not play him in the first game? And they were like, we saw enough. We saw what we needed to see. We don't really. And then it could also be a situation where because today they might try some funky stuff and they might play him at right tackle instead of left tackle, just for the sake of like,
in case,
just in case. Stinks. No, just in case we need to like, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. These teams play mind games. They're not trying to put out like I haven't seen a guy, Trill Williams. I couldn't tell you the last time I seen Trill Williams play safety or cornerback. And I don't know what's going on there. It could be medical, could be, will I tell you right now Trill Williams is going to play in a game? Probably not. They're not going to play him because they're trying to hide him for the sake of if they have to cut him and put him on their practice squad, they don't want to showcase him to the rest of the league. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it happens all the time. Like Elijah Campbell is a player that's on my watch list for today. Elijah Campbell Dolphins claimed him off the Jets at when they cut their 53-man roster, and they added him because he was a hell of a gunner during the preseason, and teams need that. So you poach that. And right now, I would tell you that Elijah Campbell, I would feel way more comfortable with him as a starting safety paired with Javon Holland than Deshaun Elliott, because I haven't seen anything from Deshaun Elliott that I like.
That's the guy that brought him from the Lions.
Yeah, came from the Lions. Waddle toasted him last year. Remember that touchdown that
No, he didn't actually. He didn't play in that game.
He didn't play in that game?
He did not
I could have
play.
sworn that Waddle was teasing him on social media because the Dolphins came back and won that game. And he's like,
no,
he didn't end up playing in that game.
He did not play in that game. Yes, but his Lions did get toasted. Trust me, I went back to make sure that what he looked like, and I'll always cross evaluate a player based on playing the Dolphins. No, he didn't play in that game, fortunately for him.
And you think he's at risk of not making the 53?
No, he's going to be on the 53, but right now I'm like, you got to do something on special teams, bro, because you're not that good.
Where are we at with Brandon Jones and his rehab comeback? Quality of play.
Setback. Suffered a setback. It's not knee related, but as you know, when you know, because you're torn ACL, you start when you got an injury and you're trying to come back from it, you overcompensate something else.
Yeah.
Something else is overcompensating for that Achilles or that knee. And so he's got another issue. They don't have to tell you what the injuries are during the preseason. I think it's stupid, but I would wish the NFL would just say, okay, you got to give me an injury report during preseason too. Damn it. Because these teams play these mystery games with whatever the injuries are. But he suffered a setback, did not practice all week. I could tell you right now, he's not there in terms of day one starter. Nick Needham is not going to be, so he's starting the season on a PUP, which means you'll probably miss him for the first 6 games of the season. You can say the same thing about Tanner Connor. There are a lot of guys, Keon Crosson's probably going to initially make the 53 and then head to IR. It's a lot of injuries.
Wasn't that expected though? At least with Needham and Brandon Jones, like the idea that they'd be ready for week 1 to me was like best case scenario. Right? I mean, you're coming off major injuries last year that happened kind of in the middle of the season.
October. Late October. Mm-hmm.
So the idea that they'd be ready to go week 1 and back to both those guys were balling last year. Like Brandon Jones had a breakout season prior to the injury.
Really?
I think he was, man. Like he was making plays all over the field, and you know what you're going to get.
I mean, we notice his plays because what he does is he gets
you notice. Yeah, you notice. They call him Blitz Boy.
Yeah,
and he blitzes. Like, okay, cool. But when you have Javon Holland on your team, and Javon is, I'll say to you guys, Javon's doing a lot of things. He's covering the nickel. Like he's everywhere. Javon is everywhere. So when Javon is everywhere, you gotta have somebody playing center field back there. Okay, so who do you feel comfortable with the range to play center field? It ain't Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah,
I can tell you that.
And the problem with that is, like, if you have Javon covering all this, you're kind of like, you almost limit his impact because he's got to cover for other guys, and like that sucks because man, all the things that he can do, getting after the football. The guy's a torpedo with hits. Like that guy, some of the hits that he'll lay on people, it's like he's I won't say he's a dirty player, but he gets after it. Like that dude he.
It's a safety, crazy. Man. They got to hit people. That's their job. That back in the day, safety's job was to like intimidate everybody. Yeah,
but
you can't play that. You can't play with that style anymore.
You know what's crazy about it though, Omar? Like when we saw what happened last year with Jalen Phillips on the old roughing the passer. When I see a guy even do that these days, I'm like, oh, like I'm almost like not used to it anymore. They've ruined it.
It's got to make the game safe, man. I'm a defensive guy, but they've taken that out of. I mean, literally, man. Fans don't realize this. You have to let a receiver catch the ball before you can hit him. You have to let him grab the ball, come down, shield himself, then you can strike him. Instead of, he's going to catch it, bang, collision. That's a $15,000 hit you want to make. You want to make it? Go ahead. It's going to cost you $15,000. You can make the hit. It's going to cost your team 15 yards and $15,000. Yeah. And that's for the protection of the league. That's like for safety reasons. So, those days are gone, bro. You want to be a safety. You can't, the Ed Reed safeties in the league? Nope.
Miss it though, man. I miss it.
So good. Take a quick break here. Game Day Uncensored rolls on as we are getting ready for Dolphins and Texans. We'll continue to get into some of the battles of training camp. Back with more after this.
Text WQAM on the Kendall Toyota text line at
HD2 Miami, WKIS HD2 Boca Raton, and Odyssey Station.
Got a phone? Then you have apps. Listen to WQAM on the free Odyssey app wherever you wander. It's easy to find us. Just go to the Odyssey app and search for WQAM. Make us your favorite station. And there we are, like a magical day in the Magic City.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
They've been in Houston for a few days. They've practiced with the Texans. A skirmish here, a skirmish there.
You want to start something? Let's go right now. Let's go.
Heat, intensity, and tackle football will do that. The large men in pads and helmets. Today, though, it's not practice. The Finns have a game. More tackle football.
We're primed and ready.
All day, baby.
Yeah, let's go.
Much higher on the intensity ladder as players fight to win a game and earn a spot on the roster.
There's a lot of things that we got going on this year that Mike's wanting to try for our guys and trying to see who does what the best. Get in the huddle, get the play call, get out so that we can see everything, get our guys going and then play.
Preseason game number 2 against Houston, who might have a problem. Time to see what Miami has learned from last week's preseason game.
There was some things that we got out of practice that were a result of fully investing in it. It was an awesome day for that because you can actually get to nitty-gritty coaching on certain things to get better at.
This is Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami fans on South Florida's #1 sports station, AM 560 Sports, WQAM.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by South Florida Lexus Dealers. Experience amazing by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day. Pour me in, coach. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Make sure your next Cadillac is backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Proud partner of the Miami Dolphins. By JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage. And by Williamson Automotive. Williamson is Miami.
I feel like I did, okay. Just like the whole line stuff we all did, good, just setting the tone, dominating the line of scrimmage. But, some things just got to clean up. The things I did keep working at, make me a better player.
I think mentality. At the end of the day, it's football, and it's about being the man in front of you. And so, all X's and O's out of the way. It's about dominating a man in front of you, and it's about taking them all 4 quarters, and it's about beating his will down play by play. And so, that's what I love about football, So that's the fun part about it.
That's the foundation. So we flying off the ball, putting that stress on the edges, putting that stress on the linebackers, and then we, make it look the same, and it's play action with Tyreek or Jalen or Chosen River, somebody else coming across the field, and you're more reactive opposed to being in position. That flying off the ball, that's the foundation of everything we're trying to do. So nothing else works if we don't do that.
We all fighting for, a job. We're all wanting to we all want to make the best of this short time that we have in the NFL. And, that's that. I think as an O-line, though, I think we're a lot further along than we have been. I think we got the right stuff brewing. I think we're playing well. It's not by any means perfect, but I think we're doing a lot of really good stuff. So I think we're heading in the right direction.
There you go. Robert Hunt, Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, Rob Jones, talking about the state of the offensive line as, Robert Hunt thinks they're all coming together as the Dolphins get ready for preseason game number 2 against the Texans. It is Game Day Uncensored with Tobin, Omar Kelly, and Alejandro Solana taking you up until 4. The SO line, Omar, what do you think so far? What do you think about the mentality of them all? What do you think? How is it coming together? Obviously, outside of the Teron Armstead near disaster.
We didn't expect Teron Armstead at all during the exhibition season. If I told you that your team was going to average 6.5 yards per carry, would you say, give it to me? Or would you say, meh?
I'd say give it to me. 6.5 yards per carry?
Okay, let's say Myles Gaskin averaged 8.1 yards on his seven attempts in the first preseason game. And we know who Myles Gaskin is. He was a 2-year starter for the Miami Dolphins. They tried to replace him about 4 times. He's still here because he's a salvageable, respectable.
Can't kill him.
Okay, he's like a cockroach. He ain't going nowhere. And he still has value to this team.
Yeah.
Eric Uzukama on those end arounds, those jet sweeps.
I like that. I was.
Yeah, it was a testing him out in those Deebo Samuel-esque roles and plays because you're not gonna put Tyreek in them.
No,
just because Tyreek is a little bit too more valuable to you as a receiver.
Yeah, because I always just like picture with Uzukama, like tough catches, make those things. But like I like mixing it up with him.
I like that too. I mean, do you think we could see Waddle doing things like that? Like just getting him into space?
No.
So it's gonna end up being guys like Uzukama, maybe Braxton Berrios. Like I like the trickery, man. I like getting guys in motion and just trying to get the defense on their toes, because to me that's the whole part of this offense. Like you never know what they're going to do. The more trickery, I like it.
So, but what I'm trying to get to is, they gained 168 rushing yards against the Falcons, which are known as a pretty decent, respectable run defense.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious to see what they do today. If where I sit with this, I don't think you need to play Tua. You can if you want to, but you don't need to play Tua. But you know what you need to do today? You need to continue to get that run game identity, because these are the exhibition games are the only test runs that you have. You have 3 opportunities to run, because in practices they don't really run.
Yeah, what do they do? They thud.
Yeah. And you're not hitting guys and creating angles, and you're getting to aiming points, but you're not finishing. So if you're Robert Hunt, you're just running down to the 8-yard mark, and then you're standing there. You're probably blocking a guy. But in this scheme, you need to cut block. You need to finish a guy. You need to put him on the ground so that it can create that second level run. And you can only test those things out 3 times during the preseason. And that's why, to me, today's emphasis: show me how you run the ball against Houston Texans.
You agree with him where he does say, though, that they're further along than they have been? Like we talk about everybody kind of knowing this system better.
Yeah.
But that line, we know that there's still a job to be won. But like as far as them, do you think this line does look better than it had maybe last year? Or
from a run blocking standpoint, I would say yes. I saw line surges against the Falcons. I was like, oh, okay. All right. We're moving. We're getting there. We're creating running lanes. We're creating creases. And the whole point of the wide zone scheme is you get the line moving left or right, and then one guy has to take out a guy, and then that's going to create your angles for your running back. And hopefully you have a talented running back who can get you to that second level. And I can tell you, they got talented running backs who can get them to the second level. It's not Dalvin Cook, but it's respectable. It's salvageable. It's hell, both of these backs averaged like 4.7 yards per carry last year.
Look, I got from McDaniel's perspective on this, like I wanted Dalvin Cook. I love the established name, but these are his guys. Like these are guys that he knows. They know his system. He's got a long-standing relationship with Mostert, scouted Jeff Wilson from the beginning. So like I always kind of felt like if they weren't going to have Dalvin Cook from the start of camp, I knew that it was probably going to be harder upon the coach to break off those guys, because there's a comfort in it. Coaches like guys who know what they're doing, especially in their system.
He's comfortable eating at Golden Corral, for those who listened to us last week. And he likes them. And I have no problem with him liking them. He should like them. They are great guys, talented players. Most of them had a career year last year. Most Dolphin fans don't know. He was like, 50 yards away from being an 1,100-yard producer last season? Like, that's nothing to turn your nose up at.
Especially when you consider, the Dolphins' run game didn't really kick into gear until like late October-ish.
They tried the Chase Edmonds experience.
Exactly. They tried the Chase Edmonds experience, which is a total disaster.
He became so hated in like such a small amount of time because he had stone hands. Like it was whoo.
But then you remember, that Bills game on the road. I mean, Mostert breaks out for these runs in San Francisco. Jeff Wilson, like you saw the flashes there, and if they can build on that, but it can't take until week 6 or 7 for you to figure out the running game.
But you know why it did take week 6 or 7? Because they're teaching techniques that these guys are very foreign to these guys, teaching aiming points. And the wide zone is not a easy scheme to learn, but when it's mastered, it's a thing of beauty. I mean, if you grew up watching those Denver Broncos offensive line, because keep remember, this is where McDaniels comes from.
Mm-hmm.
He comes from that Denver system, Denver, Houston, all places he's been, Washington, when they had success running it. Back when we had the unicorns and coach snorting white powdery substances. And the unicorns had success here with Jay Ajayi. That's the wide zone. That thing is sexy when it's working now.
For sure.
With the 49ers. It's a thing of beauty when it's clicking. Now, when it's not clicking, it's a little bit,
it's
suspect.
one of those things too. Like we got so drunk last year off of
Waddle
and Cheetah. It
you
was
did.
like
it's a fantasy football obsession.
So
No. See, and
that's fun, dude.
That's the problem I have with football fans nowadays. And you don't play fantasy, right?
No, but if I did, it would just be nothing but Waddles and Cheetahs.
Yeah,
I did play last year in our radio league, and I took Tyreek Hill first. Great pick by me, I must say. But I'm a guy who checks out of fantasy like 4 weeks.
He was done. He never changes lineup anymore. Omar, I play fantasy football. I'm the problem. I know I am, but I don't care. Like,
see,
just give me
that's
the PPR.
You are what's wrong with football today.
Absolutely,
absolutely. It's fantasy. It's fantasy, and they just devalue and don't appreciate the run game. And I will tell you, and I promise this to you, in December, if you do not lean on the run game to finish out your season and wear your opponents out, you're not going anywhere. You gotta be. You can be as pretty and fancy and flashy as a passing game as you want to be. When it gets to December, where the tough guys rule, you're gonna get pushed around.
But that Ravens game, dude.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, like, think about the Tom Brady teams or the Aaron Rodgers teams. Like, were they saying the same thing? Maybe Tom Brady.
All of Tom Brady's teams were running teams.
Maybe that was
and everybody never really evaluates and understands. All of Tom Brady's teams for 18 years were top 10 rushing teams.
Don't you also want your quarterback to take over late in the season going into the playoffs? Like, isn't that also something fair to say where, yes, we want to see Tua continue to progress and show that he's your guy, but come December, like that's his moment to take control of games and go and win games. Like, if you're relying on Mostert and Jeff Wilson to win you games, like,
but the thing is like their yards per carry last year were pretty good. And I definitely think that McDaniel had regret by the end of the year of like, I got away from that too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where I think it comes into is like, it's like,
and look how they performed in December. Think about it.
They got figured out.
Think about it in December. And I'm telling you, bodies are physically on fumes in December. Rosters are strained to where now they're playing guy number 39, guy number 44. Like Verone McKinley was playing and starting for the Miami Dolphins. I don't even think he makes the practice squad this year.
No, but even like you remember games last year. I don't remember if it was LA or if it was San Francisco, but like Cheetah was like, he was getting nicked up and Bengals getting banged up. Like
it was both of those games back-to-back weeks where the Dolphins, they couldn't throw the ball. We were so used to, these 12, 13-yard gains on first down, and all of a sudden,
what happens when your running game gets shut down, gentlemen? You're gonna have to rely on the run. I mean, when your passing game gets shut down, you are going to have to rely on the run game. Everybody has to put some respect on the run game and has to put some respect on the offensive line and what they do to create those holes. And if you do not stay committed to it, it's not going to pay off for you.
We'll continue on here on Gameday Uncensored. Speaking of the run game, maybe one got away. Dalvin Cook got introduced officially as a New York Jet this week. What are the ramifications of that for Miami? We roll on with Gameday Uncensored right after this.
Hey, want to see the ugly mugs that go along?
AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by South Florida Lexus dealers, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, JM Lexus, and Williamson Automotive.
We had conversations, which I wouldn't speak on, but he don't gotta recruit. His game recruit itself. Like Aaron is Aaron. Like if you don't want to be a part of something like that, I don't know what it is, what you want in football. So he really didn't have to recruit me. I just wanted to make the best decision for my family. That's what kind of like I had to take a step back and just what's best for me and my family, and I feel like this was the best situation. Being on the other side of that for the last 6 years, I couldn't be on the other side no more. So it was just like I got the chance to go join them and help them win again. That was a big thing to come over here. When you dig deep and look into the roster, I think all the pieces are put together. I think I can come help these guys. And you look at the running back room with MC, Brees, Bam, and all those guys with me just adding to it. I think it could be something special.
The words of Dalvin Cook, who officially this week joined the New York Jets. He was introduced. He joins Gang Green, and now the hometown kid who was definitely flirting with Miami, on social media and seeming like he was hoping that deal increase offer was going to come. Never did, and he finally decides to go to the Jets. And, never wanted him anyway. Whatever, dude. Whatever.
Oh, listen,
whatever, dude.
He blew kisses at Miami, batted eye, probably wrote a note, stuck it in our locker. And hey, man, we were a little distracted. We didn't get put the full court press on. And
definitely not. Did they even host him for a visit?
I don't think that was necessary. He lives down here. I'm sure there were a number of conversations. We didn't need to bring him into the facility and take him on a date or anything like that. But the bottom line is, and this is just the reality of the situation. When I saw the deal that he got from the Jets, which basically $7 million in guaranteed money, and it can be up to $8.6 million in playing time, incentives, and bonuses.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, he's far out of Miami's price range.
Yep.
I was pushing it, saying, 2 year, $6 million a year deal. Pushing it. That's me like saying, okay, Christian Wilkins, you can't get your money. Sorry, you're gonna have to wait. Dalvin Cook is what's gonna make this team a contender, and that was pushing it. And here he is getting 8.6. That's a lot of money.
I'm good on him going anywhere if it meant us giving him 7. Like, no, thank you.
Well, then we better pay Christian Wilkins. I'm telling you right now, because I'm just telling you, I want something to be done with that money then, because again,
no. The right approach is to save it and carry it over when you need it. You don't need it right now.
I mean, here's the thing. He's going now to a division rival. That's a hell of a backfield. I mean, holy crap. On top of them getting Aaron Rodgers this year, I'll make fun of the Jets all I want, but they're doing just as many home run swings. We could talk about their schedule and all their wins last year, but division got tougher.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about this run game and Mike McDaniel being the guru. Dude, there's a lot of pressure on this guy. I'm sorry. Mike McDaniel comes here, did what he had to do last year as far as he got him to the playoffs, but he's going here. He's going to Stanley Cup final. He's banging the drum. He's courtside for every Heat game, going to the Final Four. Marlins don't even suck. Got messy. And he's got the franchise down here that everybody cares about the most and has cared about the longest. So, okay, you have a price point, you have a breaking point with Dalvin Cook. Cool. It better work.
Well,
because he wanted to be here.
He did want to be here, but understand also, Aaron Rodgers left $35 million.
I don't believe that, by the way. There's something going on there. Something fishy. Nobody gives up $35 million.
I agree with you. I am wholeheartedly with
it's a bunch
you.
Of crap. I don't believe it. It's in crypto. It's in mushrooms. It's in something.
I mean,
he didn't give up $35 million.
He gave up $35 million.
Tobin, he sat in a dark room for a couple hours, right? He didn't make it for the whole month. Sat in a dark room, and he realized, $35 million, whatever. I don't need $35 million. I want to go play for the Jets.
When do I get the
I want to be happy.
Yeah.
And he's killing it on Hard Knocks. Oh, my God.
They're killing it.
I mean, that's worth the marketing that he's getting for being with the New York Jets is probably the equivalent of $35 million. I mean, every Hard Knocks episode is a Aaron Rodgers diary.
Sure, dude. When does he get his what stock did he get in Johnson & Johnson? That's what I want to know. Like, what is he getting?
He got some
in hand lotion or
he got
or
some
shampoo.
he got some stock tips. You might be right on
Something
that. But literally, he gave up $35 million, and he probably said to him, "You better go get me Dalvin Cook." And they put an offer that says, "We're going to get you Dalvin Cook." That's a respectable offer right there.
Tobin, I get what you're saying. Okay, use that money for something else. But weren't we just talking the last segment? Everybody's cool with the running back room. Like you're content.
I am
with
cool with it, but this is the thing: if you're not going to spend the money on stars and you're going to get outbid by your rivals, fine. You could talk me into I'm comfortable with the guys. I can sit here and I can agree with that argument. That being said, okay, then what are we going to do with it? You can save it for a rainy day. That's fine. But if you piss off Christian Wilkins and he walks in a year, or there's some real stink and you have to end up trading him, and what did we squirrel this away for? What did we do?
Well, you squirreled it away because you're living off credit cards, bro. That interest rate is going to kill you. It's going to hit you. You don't go out there and spend your $13 million just because you can. Just because you got money to buy a Tesla does not mean you do it.
I want something to happen with the money, Omar. I don't care. First of all, you said it earlier in the show. You don't believe in that NFL salary cap. None of us do. It's every year they're restructuring and they're making stuff up, and then there'll be some deal that came through like, oh, the salary cap's actually up $60 million this year. They'll do something. It's just like Aaron Rodgers giving up the $35 million. It's nonsense. So if at some point Christian Wilkins is taken care of, I can live with it a lot more than I see Dalvin Cook go to the Jets and he balls out. That's going to hurt.
It's gonna hurt. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. And I hate to say this on a Dolphins pregame show, but I have the Dolphins now as the third team in their own division.
Oof. Omar, come on.
You got to stack up that roster.
Come on.
With
Don't let Hard Knocks. Don't let Hard Knocks rule you in like that, because that's what happens. I do the same. I thought the Lions were going to the Super Bowl last year.
No, you could not have seen the Lions and thought they were going to the Super Bowl.
No, but that's what happens, right? You're watching Hard Knocks and you're like, okay, all right, this team's nice. This team's nice. And then Salah's giving the speeches and you're like, all right, the Jets. Let's see it, because the Jets. Here's what I know about the Jets. They're going to jet at some point. It happens every year. Aaron Rodgers, I get it, but they're going to jet at some point. So before they
you're going to Dolphins at some point.
It's a clash of
you're going to have your That's So Dolphins moment at some point too. So, but you're right. But here's the thing. You guys know I believe in the run game. Mm-hmm. They've got a mediocre offensive line, just like the Miami Dolphins have a mediocre offensive line. You know how you compensate for having a mediocre offensive line? You go get an elite back. They did it. And their defense is comparable to Miami's defense. Their quarterback, say whatever you want, is superior to Miami's quarterback. I'm watching Hard Knocks, and I know it's Hard Knocks, but how many back shoulder throws do you need to see from Aaron Rodgers before you sit there and say,
listen, he's like
how many back foot throws, not even stepping in his throw, just flicking his wrist, do you need to say, God damn, this guy's a Hall of Famer.
He's sitting there like the old Sports Center commercial, D-Way with Scott Van Pelt. I'm saying he's sitting right there with the Hard Knock. Make sure you get that in there, and that one, and that. Like you put the montage together, make it look cool.
Man, he does. You might be right. I'm romanticizing the Jets.
I get it though. Right now, if you went around the league and you asked, or just general fans around the league, who's the second best team in the AFC? I don't think many people are picking the Dolphins.
I mean, the Dolphins are the third team.
Yeah, I don't think many people are picking Miami. I think they're taking Aaron Rodgers.
And I thought about this the other day, and I even asked the question on Twitter because I didn't feel like doing the work myself. How many divisions in football over the years, over let's say modern era football, wild card era, have gotten 3 teams from the same division in the playoffs? I know it's happened. I know it's happened a lot in the NFC North. But 3 teams get in the playoffs from the same division, or do they beat themselves up?
It's going to be a tough schedule, man. Because look, I hate the Patriots, but I never will think that Bill Belichick will get anything less than 7 wins.
He's not going to be an easy out.
He's not going to be an easy out. You know, he's like that. He's like that old heavyweight who knows how to hold you up against the ropes. He won't win the decision, but you're going to leave with you're going to get roughed up a little bit.
He's that 820 batter who you literally will throw 12 to 15 pitches just to get him out. because he's gonna foul out like 5 times. Hit foul balls 5 times. And by the time the inning's over, your pitcher's thrown like 30 pitches.
Yeah. But you know what? That is the difference between, being the Dolphins that we've seen and taking that next step. It's going into New England and beating Mac Jones, which they haven't been able to do. Like they've won at home last year. They won week 1 at home, but
Tua hasn't lost a game to Bill Belichick ever.
Right, but the Dolphins have.
Tua hasn't lost a game to Bill Belichick.
He's Bill Belichick's daddy.
Go in there, like you couldn't last year and win the game. Like that to me is a difference.
You want to know how shook Bill Belichick is on Tua? He spent time at Palm Beach Atlantic. That's how you know. That's how you know he's got him shook. No, look, there's a lot of stuff I think we could look at. The one thing is I think it's a very tough division, but I do think that every team is got those, they all have their what ifs. They all have their you have Josh Allen talking like, oh, I don't want to play the same way I've been playing anymore. I don't know if that's gamesmanship. I don't know if that's true. If he's tired of running into people and getting
he can't keep that up. There's nobody in the history of the game can keep that up. That's what happened to Cam Newton. That's what happened to what's the Eagles quarterback who used to be a runner? Not him. Before McNabb, the original OG.
Randall Cunningham.
It's what happened to Randall Cunningham. It's what happened to Cordell Stewart. Running quarterbacks do not last. You want to keep doing it. Josh knows he's got to stop.
Let me tell you something. Just throwing Josh Allen quarterback
doesn't scare you.
It does not scare me. I don't want to say because he's not a bum, but he's less special.
You're right.
He's less special.
You're right.
And that's the thing that
he's got to save the running for December.
Probably.
That's what he's going to do?
Probably, but I don't know. And then it's one thing to say it in the middle of the offseason, and then he's in the game, and it's not like he's 30.
Absolutely, he's in the moment, and it's fourth quarter. He's going to save it till December in the fourth quarter.
I really do want to see Ken Dorsey freak out again. God, that was great video.
Amazing.
It was really awesome. But no,
did I ever tell you guys my Ken Dorsey story?
Please do.
Okay, this is one of my favorite stories of my career ever. Okay, we're doing a special section while I worked for the Sun Sentinel on Ken Dorsey and. No, actually, it wasn't a special section. It was just Ken Dorsey and Brett Romberg. I'm doing a story about how they live together and they have such contrasting personalities. Yes. So, and Ken Dorsey's a cat guy, and it was such a weird story. But I'm in their house, right? And we're literally just taking pictures and getting art for the story. And Ken's like, "Oh, you want to get me playing Xbox?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm playing. We can play Xbox." And Ken doesn't know. I'm pretty damn good. Back then, I was like pretty damn good at Xbox. Like I was really good.
Were you Tyreek Hill scouting good?
I was like very, very good at Xbox. He didn't know this at the time. This is the year he went to the Fiesta Bowl, which was sponsored by Xbox. And so literally we get on the sticks, and I don't even remember what team I picked, but I'm like up big on Ken Dorsey. And he's like literally flipping his wig. He's like, what the, because this apparently he plays and he thinks he's good and he's like a Heisman candidate quarterback. And I'm whooping him. I'm literally like whipping him. And he gets into it. He's like, we're finishing this game. This isn't just like for art and for pictures. He's like, we're finishing this game. And he eventually like rallies back on me. And he's like, so that's where I learned about the competitive nature of people. Like he was so locked in and so zoned in. I don't think he could have lived with himself if he had lost that game. And I'm not going to say I blew the game or, I'm not going to say I like gave him the game, but I knew that our relationship would never be the same if I had beaten him.
You saying you took a dive on Ken Dorsey?
No, I'm saying I lost to Ken Dorsey.
You eased up for Ken Dorsey.
I did ease up.
Okay, so
I wasn't gonna like. I did it absolutely.
How close are we to Bill's meltdown, Ken Dorsey? Like how
it was Bill's meltdown, and that's where when I saw that, like it was like he was really bothered that he was like losing on a random game to a draft. I like literally just picked any team too. It wasn't like I picked the Minnesota Vikings. Like it was that bad. It was like I picked my team.
Did he throw the controller?
He might have threw the controller. And that was one of my favorite stories ever about just the competitive level of these players. that and the great ones. Ken will be a great head coach, and you could see that there's such a competitive nature to him.
Game Day Uncensored here on WQAM. We take you up until 4. Dolphins getting ready to take on the Houston Texans. We should be getting soon a little look into who will be on the field for today. We're back with more on WQAM right after this.
Dolphins underway.
South Florida Lexus dealers, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, JM Lexus, and Williamson Automotive.
Welcome back, everybody. Game Day Uncensored here on 560 WQAM. Tobin, Omar Kelly, and Alejandro Solana joining you here, taking you up until 4 o'clock. That is when the Dolphins will get underway, their second preseason game against the Houston Texans.
We got the report. I just saw. Players not expected to play from the Miami Dolphins.
All right.
Hit us with it.
Let me get it. Give us the list, Solana.
Jalen Ramsey, we know.
Duh.
Jalen Waddle, not expected to play.
Not allowed to play.
But if you're following here, this is in numerical order. Jalen Ramsey is 5. He's first on the list, which means Uno, QB1, number 1 is not on this list.
That's what I'm talking about. Just a little something, Omar. Just a little something, dude. Just give me a couple series, wet my whistle.
Your whistle will be wet, apparently.
Yeah.
I did find something interesting on this list. Lester Cotton is not scheduled to play. Right now, I would have named you Lester Cotton as my leader for that left guard spot if you told me to take a guess.
Wow.
And the fact that, but then when we watched the Houston joint practice, they had Robert Jones playing left guard. So this could be a stash situation. They don't want anybody to see Lester Cotton just in case they need to put him on the practice squad. Because I could tell you, it could go Lester Cotton, it could go Isaiah Wynn, it could go Robert Jones, it could go anywhere at left guard except for Liam Eichenberg. It's not going to go Liam Eichenberg.
Yeah, who's also on this list, but he was banged up this week, right?
Yeah, he was banged up. And I'm going to use he was banged up excuse for the fact that he's looked like trash all training camp. I will. This is the unfiltered. I'll accept that because he is not this bad.
So you think like he's out there because he wants to win a job, so he's just playing through stuff?
He can't. That has to be the only logical reason because he is not this bad. Because I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, he goes from beginning camp as a starter, he's struggling a little bit, to he's horrible, to now he's injured. That's a hell of a progression.
Yeah.
That, like, I think at some point, we don't know what it was, but the fact that you shelved him, means, hey, maybe I'm not being honest with the team, but he was going fighting something.
Well,
I'm gonna give him that because when I say a decline, I've never seen a player decline that bad, just completely off a cliff, to the point where he's the only guy I'm not considering for the starting spot.
Eichenberg.
No, we don't do that to that man. That man is not that bad, or he wasn't that bad until this training camp.
Dude, sometimes they are that bad, though.
He can't be that bad. He really can't be that bad.
Who else is on the list, Solana?
So from this list, I'll read off these names, but it looks like most of the starters who aren't hurt are going to get some reps here.
I'll tell you the guys that are Ramsey, Waddle, Bethel, Wilson, Smith, Crossan, Jones, Ingold, Gaskin, Bonner, Armstead, Eichenberg, Sanders, and then Wilkins. All of those guys are being held out probably because of injury. Lester Cotton's the only guy I can't sit there and tell you. So everybody who isn't hurt is playing. And that's a good sign. That is a good sign. Gives you what you want.
What's my whistle, dude? Couple series. That's all I need.
Just
a couple series, dude. Couple series. Let me ask you that. I got to do this. Let's get a fantasy football update brought to us by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day. Pour me in, coach. Find a cocktail recipe for every fan at Tito'sVodka.com. If you were Solana to have to put this battle down, a daily fantasy battle, you had to pick either Mike White or Skylar Thompson. Who's putting up bigger numbers today?
Today, I'm going with Skylar Thompson. I've maintained Skylar Thompson, August.
That's where he makes magic.
That is his time, baby.
Hold on.
Skylar season.
Let me give you a warning, though. The offensive line unit, especially if Lester Cotton's not out there, that he's going to be playing with, trash.
Doesn't matter.
The one that Skylar's going to be out there with?
I mean, you saw what happened the last time he was out there with them.
Sure did.
He couldn't even get a pass off.
But do you think they
heaving up prayers?
Yeah, he was heaving up prayers.
Like,
yeah.
But do you think I mean, last week we saw Mike White play first, and then we saw Skylar Thompson.
But
do you think
Mike White played with the O-line?
No, right. But I'm saying, do you think they'll stay with that trend, or will they kind of switch it up a little bit, where Tua's going to get some reps? We're hoping, right?
Yes.
And then maybe Skylar gets some snaps first, and then Mike White gets some snaps.
No,
it's Mike White's job. Backup's his job.
Yeah. Based on what I'm watching in practice, not that he's earned it, he's getting all the opportunities.
Gotcha.
And Skylar's just getting leftovers, and it is what it is, man. And I don't think they're even worried about putting Skylar out there with trash. They're like, all right, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And Skylar can figure it out.
It's tough. Like it kind of sucks for Skylar Thompson because he burst onto the scene last year, played so good. They gave him a roster spot, couldn't even stash him because it was like, oh, this kid is balling out. People want quarterbacks, and now he's kind of in that same situation where it's like, damn, I'm still scrapped. I'm still getting scrap pieces.
Nobody said life is fair.
That's fair.
I thought it was a back and forth battle, and I could tell you, Skylar kicked his tail the first couple of weeks. And then fans came out. Mike White said, all right, fans are here. Can't embarrass myself. Started playing well. And then we get to the joint practices against the Falcons, and Skylar barely even touched the ball. And now we're this week. Skylar didn't get same equal amount of reps. I think the battle's over. And I don't think it came down to performance. I think it came down to money.
Right. I was going to say, I mean, it would look bad, right, Tobin, if Skylar beat out Mike White I'm not saying they gave him a lot of money, but they did go out and find the guy that they would feel comfortable with in a backup quarterback battle, and the guy that had some good games last year with New York.
It wouldn't. But like, if you found this guy out of nowhere and he was like, hey, he even it looks bad because it's like, oh, you paid money to Mike White, but then also it's like, yeah, but we found Skylar Thompson.
Oh, no, wait. Brock Purdy was the number 3 quarterback with the San Francisco 49ers last year, and then became that dude.
Yeah.
You never know. And they don't care that they gave Dolphins 2 first-round picks for Trey Lance. They don't care because they got him. Now, I'm not saying that Skylar's going to turn into that player, because Skylar had the opportunity to, and he didn't really do anything with it. But they just don't really care. And it's valid and understandable, because you can't give a guy $4 million and then look like Boo Boo the Fool when your 7th round pick is better than him.
He needs to, but it's probably in a position he's got to blow him out. Like, he's got.
Yes, Skylar right now, I wouldn't say the battle is over, and Mike McDaniel will tell you that the battle isn't over, but Skylar would have to part the Red Sea, walk on water and feed a wedding party with 2 loaves of bread to make it happen. I mean, it's not over, but literally that's what he'd have to do to actually win the job. And might be the only reason to watch the fourth quarter. See if he can do it.
But look, I like this. Wet my whistle. You give me some action. That's what I wanted, dude.
There we go.
That's what I wanted.
You're gonna watch 2 handoffs and
I don't care. As long as
a shotgun snap.
I want to see a two. I want to see 2 out there. He takes the snap. Just see a little presence out there.
Yeah.
I like to see that chemistry with him and McDaniel. Those beady little eyes coming through the glasses.
Oh, those are some stylish glasses, bro.
Oh, dude, he's got it together.
We saw each other during the the first day of joint practice. I was wearing some yellow shades because it was inspired by him. I'm a yellow shades guy too. Me and Mike McDaniel, we have very similar styles, right down to the color palettes. He likes the colors. He likes Adidas. He likes Yeezy. I know he's not wearing his Yeezys anymore because of Kanye. I understand he can't make that statement of support for Kanye, but he's wearing NMDs. We have the same watch. He's got it in gold. I've got it in blue.
Same watch, Omar, because bro, it looks like McDaniel's rocking a jumbotron on his wrist. I mean, it's a big ass watch that he's rocking.
It's a Breitling. I'll wear it for you next week.
Okay. Okay, Omar.
Listen.
All right. Okay.
I think it's an age thing, or here's what it is. I created my sense of style 10 years ago because I need to be in the locker room and I need to impress those guys. Okay. And then when you listen to Mike McDaniel, remember his rookie year, he said, like, I created my sense of style because I'm with these guys and I need to impress them. And Like,
Boom.
and here we are. We both did the same thing, and we learned our color palettes, and we learned our his shades. Man, I'm more fascinated in what shades will he wear today than I am fascinated who's going to play.
I will say I was traveling with the team last year. You show up, and everybody else has to park at the executive airport in the parking lot.
Yes.
McDaniel rolls up, Rolls Royce.
No, he does not have a Rolls Royce.
I don't know if it's his, but he's rolling up in a Rolls Royce and he's stepping out.
Driver?
He's not driving, is all I'm saying. And it's right. He gets to park right next to the security detail where you have to get scanned to get in.
I know he's got a black Audi. Are you telling me he's got a Rolls Royce?
He was rolling up in a Rolls Royce, bro. I know a Rolls when I see a Rolls, and he's stepping out. He's rocking Gucci shoes.
Yes, he does.
He's got the finely pressed Prada button down
jacket. He's got a book bag in tow. It's probably I don't know which one was book
Louis
bag. I think it was a Louis book bag. He's a stylish man.
It came to a point one day where I was behind him in line to get on, and he had a bug on him, and I wanted to just hit the bug off his book bag. But Tobin, it's a Louis Vuitton book bag.
Touch that bag.
I can't touch that bag.
You can't touch that bag.
I'm just the
even though I don't feel
the
like
gross producer. I can't touch that bag.
I feel like he's the type of guy that would appreciate that from you, but I wouldn't touch that bag. Can't do
touch
it.
that.
Can't
Yeah,
do it.
but man,
listen, the guys look the one thing he looks like he's enjoying life. He's enjoying life as the Dolphins head coach. You sleep on a cot in a film room for that many years. Good for you, dude.
Hell yeah.
That being said, win this division.
You don't care what his style looks like.
I don't care. I'm glad that he has great style. That being said, win the division.
I'm with you. I don't care if you dress like Fangs or if you dress like McDaniel.
Yeah,
beat the Jets and beat the Bills in December.
Final hour, Game Day Uncensored coming on up. We'll be back with more after this.
Listen to Messi and Inter Miami games here.
The whistle sounds. Messi approaches. He goes for it.
problem. Time to see what Miami has learned from last week's preseason game.
There was some things that we got out of practice that were a result of fully investing in it. It was an awesome day for that because you can actually get to nitty-gritty coaching on certain things to get better at.
This is Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami fans on South Florida's #1 sports station, AM 560 Sports, WQAM.
Game Day Uncensored is sponsored by South Florida Lexus Dealers. Experience amazing by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka on game day? Pour me in, coach. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Make sure your next Cadillac is backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Proud partner of the Miami Dolphins by JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage. And by Williamson Automotive. Williamson is Miami.
All right, Game Day Uncensored rolls on here on WQAM. We are getting you ready for a little Dolphins, little Texans preseason action. Game number 2. We read you guys the lineup of people who are out coming up, and for the most part, you're going to see some starters today. Tua's likely going to get at least a couple series out there. Tyreek Hill's playing, so it should be
over under on 2, baby. 2.
I think 2. Dude, that's all I need. That's all I need. I'm not going to get greedy. I'm not asking for 3. I'm not asking for 3, dude. Just a little, it's a little taste.
Just a taste.
Just a taste. A little football hors d'oeuvre,
So, Solana, you're not getting your play action.
So first quarter, no? Full first
dude.
quarter?
No. I'm not that greedy, Solana.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine. I'm good with a taste. I do want to see one play action. First play that Tua and Tyreek played with each other last year in preseason. You guys remember what it was? The very first play.
Probably a bootleg.
It was a play action bomb to Tyreek Hill. Bomb.
I didn't even think about that. That's
the most addictive
This
thing
might
in
hint that
sports.
Tyreek actually plays in a preseason game. I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm a little nervous about that. 2, I'm fine with, but Tyreek Hill, I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't have played Tua without Tyreek, so I can understand it, but this makes me a little queasy. I'm quoting Joe Philbin. I'm a little queasy right now.
Don't do that, dude. Don't quote Joe Philbin. I'm not about that today.
I'm a little queasy, man.
So let's play a little on-off here, Omar. We got and by the way, shout out to everybody watching us on YouTube, Miami 560 WQM. Coming up in a couple segments, if you guys want to get your questions in for Omar Kelly, you guys can get it on the comments. We will get to some of that later on this hour, so hit us on up. Very easy. You can do it in the chat on Twitch or on YouTube. We get them all gathered to us, so get in on the chat there. That's how you guys can interact with us. And appreciate everybody tuning in on YouTube and the Odyssey app. But let's play a little on-off here, Omar. There's 53-man roster. We obviously are going to see a lot more of the main players today, which is great. There are guys who are banged up. We got guys who are holding out. We got all that type of stuff. But as far as like the guys who you're wondering, like these games you feel like they actually may depend on a little bit, get like a guy like Robbie Chosen. You've gone with him. It was a high profile, I would say, acquisition in the offseason. But do you think that he's going to make this 53-man roster?
I do think he's going to make the 53-man roster. When you watch him in practice, he's a playmaker. He's still got the speed. This isn't a case where the guy is old and has lost a step. And he's very productive. The only thing that I'm going to say is it's going to force me to keep 6 receivers because everybody knows Cedric Wilson is going to be here. Nobody wants to take that contract. You should have never gave it to him anyway. So Robbie will really be the 4th, 5th receiver, but you're going to have to keep 6 just to keep him around.
It is one of those things though. Like I feel bad for Cedric Wilson's kind of like in the same boat as Emmanuel. I feel bad. Like, because I'll call somebody out for fat cat syndrome, Jason Sanders, right? Like they get the bag, they're not quite the same. But Cedric Wilson didn't know they were going to get Tyreek Hill. Kind of just developed.
No. Cedric Wilson is just not good. Tyreek Hill or not, he's just not good.
Is he not as good as Tyreek Hill?
I promise you.
You just think he stinks?
He's not good.
Why don't you say stinks?
He's not good. Even if Tyreek wasn't here, we'd still be talking about him like this because he's not good. He's not better than River Craycraft. He's not better than, I would argue he's not better than Braylon Sanders.
Wow.
Braylon Sanders played ahead of him last year.
Braylon Sanders showed some things.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
Showed some things.
I am not a Cedric Wilson fan. He's had plenty of opportunity this week with Jalen Waddle being sidelined.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, you want a job? You want to step up? Come on down. He's had plenty of chances. Have you heard anything about him?
Nothing.
There's a reason why.
Not a peep.
There's a reason why.
And I was kind of looking forward to because last week on Friday, we kind of torched Cedric Wilson a little bit. Like we kind of just made him seem like, go return some punts because we got to figure out something to do with your salary. So I'm like, all right, let's see if maybe I'm just glossing over Cedric Wilson a little bit.
Maybe he should be the gunner.
He is right though.
Nothing.
Like, I don't even think I ever read a tweet about him.
Nope.
Like, nothing.
There's nothing.
Crazy.
Nothing there.
They had 6 receivers last year too, by the way. I mean, you mentioned, if they want to keep Robbie Chosen, they're going to have 6 receivers on the 53. They did that last year because they kept Trent Sherfield. They kept River Craycraft as well. So like they end Cedric Wilson. They also kept him. So like that is something they've done, and I'm cool with that. Like if Robbie Chosen ends up being on the 53, you have your 6 receivers, including Braxton Berrios and whoever else it ends up being. I'm cool with that because I do think, man, like we saw Tua can find Craycraft in the end zone. We saw he can find Sherfield. Like if he can do it with those guys, he can do it with this group of guys as well.
What about Myles Gaskin? What do you think, Omar?
I am going to leave Miles on, and the reason I'm going to leave Miles on is because I think that him and Savon Ahmed are it's one or the other. And if you look at Savon Ahmed, he is a carbon copy of Devon Achane. They're the same player, and I don't need 2 Devon Achanes. So unless Savon Ahmed is giving me special teams, I'm going to keep Myles Gaskin because he adds a little bit of versatility to that backfield.
So you feel like that would that would put Savon to be vulnerable?
Oh, absolutely. Savon is probably. I'm going to cut him, expose him to the world. Somebody claims him, they claim him, just like we got him off a claim.
Yeah.
And I'm going to practice squad him.
And somebody probably will claim him too. By the way,
oh, it's okay. We've done this for 3 years. Is there any more left?
Great shoes.
Bright orange.
I might. Chris Brooks intrigues me. I know there's some. I'm curious. We've been 3 years and saying, is there upside to Savon Ahmed? 3 years. What have we gotten for it?
And 3 years of Myles Gaskin probably has the upper hand on Savon Ahmed also. Like it's been the same 3 guys battling for that position. And every year it's like, Myles Gaskin gets the nod.
It could easily go the other way. And I'm being honest with you. It can very easily go. Don't say, oh, you were an idiot because you picked Myles Gaskin. I just think Myles gives you a little bit more toughness, a little bit more pass protection, not as good a pass catcher, but a little bit better running between the tackles. And my concern is if Jeff Wilson goes down, I need that between the tackles guy.
What about Eric Saubert, tight end?
I'm gonna have to pass.
Ooh,
off. I watched him during special teams. When you're the backup tight end, you got to be busting heads as an inline blocker, and you got to be wrecking people on special teams.
That's an intangible spot.
I watched him run downfield. If you have the first Falcons game on TiVo, all you need to do is watch the first return. I watched him run downfield. No, he was kickoff blocking. I watched him get blasted, and he was a personal protector for the back for Devon Achane, who had a very good run, but Eric Saubert wasn't helping on that run. And I watch him throughout all special teams. Soft.
Wow.
Oof. You'll call somebody soft, but you won't say somebody stinks? Or you won't say that Cedric Wilson stinks?
I won't say that Cedric Wilson stinks because then it becomes personal.
I understand. It does it?
Yeah, it does, because he knows I'm out there talking about him on his contract. If I will say the only reason you're still here is because you're guaranteed $5 million.
I think he probably knows that.
I mean, he has to know that.
He's also got to be a little happy about that too. Like, $5 million, Omar.
Yeah, I mean, there are other guys like Keon Crossan. If I'm Keon Crossan, I'm not stepping foot on a practice field. I'm sorry. I get $3.2 million if I make the roster, and only way I'm going to make the roster is if I'm hurt right now.
Oh yeah, like if you have to play a game to get your money,
this is part of the business, and fans don't realize it. They don't like it, but you better respect it. If Keon Crossan goes out there, they need a cornerback. They need a cornerback badly. Keon Crossan goes out there and plays. Maybe he makes the team, but maybe he doesn't. I have a chance to get $3.2 million as opposed to getting waived and playing for the minimum 3 times the salary. I'm hurt, brother. I'm sorry. My knee hurts. I can't make it to the game today.
I'm sore. And,
I'm sore. I'm sorry. Yeah. He'd be an idiot if he lined up and started practicing next week to expose himself to playing that game and chance getting cut.
But I will say, I mean, with our DB depth right now, I mean, Keon Crossan probably a good chance. Keon
Crossan needs to make a business decision right now.
I'm with you, but it's not like he's going up against Xavier Howard. None of those guys are practicing. I mean, our DBs right now in camp are kind of. You want to talk about stink?
Oh no, you need some help. But his best business decision is make the initial 53, get your $3.2 million. Then they're gonna put you on IR to begin the season. You heal up, come back the week 8. Otherwise, you're making a bad decision going out there and putting it on practice field.
Let's try and fire through a couple more, Omar. Robert Jones.
Woo, that's a tough one right there. And that leads me to one. I think it's based on today's performance. Robert Jones is either going to make the team.
It's a big one today for him.
It's a big one. This is the biggest game for Robert Jones in his career because you might be hitting that waiver wire if you don't perform well today.
I want to this guy. I feel like you guys have been tweeting about Brandon Pilley. He's
he got hurt.
He got hurt, but how has he been playing? Because I feel like a lot of people are talking about him.
He's practice squad material. He showed a lot of promise and upside, but he's practice squad. But I don't think he's going to play. Oh, actually, he's not on the injured list, so he is going to play. He probably just had a stinger.
Didn't they bring him in? Like they signed him off of waivers? Am I remembering correctly?
He's an undrafted rookie.
Undrafted.
Yeah, but Deshaun Hand is who you're talking about, and he might start today. He's been running with the starters, and it's been. I can't say it's been quite impressive, but on the final situational period, he produced a sack that led to their dominant performance. So I'm curious what he's going to do today too.
And before we wrap, just like name that you think fans know that's probably the most vulnerable. I guess you would say that probably needs it.
Most vulnerable. River Craycraft, you guys know him. Like him.
Hasn't cinched it up though. You think that he's still playing for a job?
He's played. Oh, he's not safe. No, he's not safe. He's not receiver number. He's receiver number 7. A political decision. He might begin the year on a practice squad again and probably be around and have to, be called on. Maybe special teams. If he becomes I keep telling you guys, be a gunner. Be a gunner. Anybody can be a gunner. You want to be a gunner? You can be a gunner.
I don't want to be a gunner. I don't want to do that.
It's a tough job.
I don't want to do that.
It's a tough job, but you got to take on 2. They're trying to throw you into the Gatorade table.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can fight off those 2 blockers and get down there in front of that punt returner, you can play for 12 years like Justin Bethel does.
We'll take a quick break here on Game Day Uncensored. If you guys want to get your questions in, you guys can join in on the chat. We are streaming live on YouTube and Twitch, Miami 560 WQM. Go subscribe over there. You guys get notifications every time we go live, as we will before every game day this season, as we are winding down to Dolphins and Texans preseason game number 2. Back with more after this.
WQAM, broadcasting live from the Edmore Sawgrass Auto Mall Studios. Shop massive savings on a massive Chevy inventory, all backed by Morse at Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Visit EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com. Chevy, find new roads.
Breaking news from AM 560 Sports WQAM is presented by BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today.
At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage. For starters, there's no dealer fee, saving you more. There's one point of contact and one upfront price, always the best price. Plus, JM Lexus has a Google rating with over 16,000 reviews, not to mention an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. We've also been named the 2023 Florida Lexus Dealer of the Year by DealerRater. Come get the home team advantage today, only at JM Lexus.
When you think Lexus, think JM Lexus.
Men suffering from ED or PE, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Preferred Men.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Game Day Uncensored here on WQAM. Tobin, Omar Kelly, and Alejandro Solana here with you. We are streaming live on the Odyssey app, and you guys can watch us on YouTube and Twitch, Miami 560 WQAM. Let us get to our starting line. It's brought to you by JM Lexus. At JM Lexus, you'll always get the home team advantage with no dealer fee. JM Lexus always saves you more. Come get the home team advantage only today at JM Lexus. Best guess, Omar, offensive starting line today would be, what would you go?
Kendall Lamb, Robert Jones, Connor Williams at center, Robert Hunt. He needs to get a little greased up, and then Austin Jackson. But I'm probably not going to play Austin Jackson for long because he was battling a little bit of injury or was getting rested, and we cannot afford to lose Austin Jackson.
He's been still good, right? Like
yes.
He's remained impressive.
I wouldn't say impressive. I'd say solid.
Okay, I'll take solid. I'll take a solid Austin Jackson.
I'm just saying, though, it was impressive last week, wasn't it?
It was solid. It was
okay. So he hasn't regressed.
He has not regressed.
Okay.
When I said he was impressive, that was the week that he was containing Jalen Phillips, who this week just literally embarrassed George Fant. Like, just if they took 30 snaps against one another, George Fant lost 25 of them. Damn.
That's
jeez.
And it made me say to myself, like, okay, Jalen Phillips is that dude that I think he is.
You were intrigued by a point made by Mike McDaniel this week with regard to the battle that's going on the offensive line, left guard. And if you guys want to hear a little Mike McDaniel here, was talking about the idea that a locker room can sometimes make a decision when it comes to a position battle. Here's the Dolphins head coach.
You know, a good litmus test is the locker room, and I pay attention a lot to what peers feel, think, maybe say, maybe don't say, their energy, and I feel like when the locker room, I'll feel it from the locker room, I'll feel it from his teammates. Whoever that guy is will show his face, and it's not really up to my timeline. I'd like it to be sooner than later, but like that's why you have to give guys opportunities to win the job on the field. And it's not necessarily a negative that there's a rotation. Listen, like Liam's playing as good a football as he's played. Like he's had his bumps and's got better from them in this camp. But there's other good players. And so those things have to be settled on the field, I believe. And those opportunities will continue. And then I'll know, you know, when the team knows, and I'll be able to feel it by not just how that person plays, but how his teammates play around him. You know, it's how it is. It's a collective group where you have to communicate, and you have to. Players can make each other better. They can make each other worse, and we're looking for a guy that plays his best, but makes other people better as well.
That was the most important thing that Mike McDaniel said all of last week. And let me explain to you why. The locker room knows. The locker room always knows. Now, whether they say, that's a totally different subject. A lot of times during the Joe Philbin era, they didn't say. They wouldn't say because they didn't like Joe Philbin. During the Adam Gase era, they wouldn't say at the end because they didn't trust Adam. This guy, he's a coach that is welcomed and embraced in the locker room. And I think guys feel empowered to the point where Christian Wilkins probably walked up to him and said, Liam ain't it. I think Teron Armstead has probably walked up to him and said, hey, Lester Cotton, he needs a shot. And he's listening. And that collective kind of is important when you have the players' respect. And I talked to Teron, and I wanted to know, is it a leadership council that he's going to, or do guys feel empowered enough to go up to him and have these conversations? Because I could promise you right now, Liam Eichenberg isn't starting because of Christian Wilkins. I literally watched one practice, and I heard Christian say, and this is illegal for me to say, but this is unfiltered right here. I heard Christian say during that practice, y'all gonna let one man destroy your offense? Oof. And he could have either been talking to himself about himself, or he was talking about Liam Eichenberg.
He's talking about Liam Eichenberg.
Well, who knows? I mean,
I didn't know. I couldn't figure it out because he was hot. He was like on a 3-sack day, and he said, y'all gonna let one man destroy this offense? And I said, he just beat Liam for a sack. Was he talking about Liam or was he talking about himself? And when Mike says he listens to his locker room, that's what he's talking about.
It's hard to know, too, because he does say he's a mean guy. He's not nice when he plays.
Yeah, I'm a sick and twisted individual.
Sick and twisted individual.
Sick and twisted.
Here was Teron Armstead with Omar talking about the what McDaniel was discussing.
I heard Mike McDaniel say something I never heard a coach say, where he was like, I asked him, how does he decide what the left tackle is? And he says, well, my locker room says. Have you ever heard that before in terms of a coach leaning on what his veteran players say in terms of who, I guess, wants to play next to him?
Yeah, no, I don't make decisions, front office decisions, or nothing like that. No, but none of the players do. But we run the team. It's a player-driven team. It has to be. You know, we the guys out there in the midst of everything. We're getting a great feel in a sense. So the best teams I've been a part of were player-led teams. So you got to have a great group of leaders that understand and have a great awareness of the team as a totality and what is best for the team. And that can be anything. That can be in any aspect. But those player-led teams are the best teams I've been a part of.
There you go, Teron Armstead. And then look, I mean, like, I'm sure that they do appreciate a guy like McDaniel listening. I mean, if he's not being stubborn about things, and then he will change things up based on what their recommendations are.
Yeah, I've covered coaches where players will go to them and they'll say, "Okay, you're running us into the ground. We're working too hard," and they change up the schedule and dial things back. And understand, sometimes these things are valid. It's not like players are being lazy, but like in December games, like as we discussed earlier, that's why teams run in December, because teams are on fumes. And your locker room, your coach has to be able to listen to your locker room. And when they can have that immediate access and have the respect of getting the locker room's feedback, like those guys are going to know who's that left guard. And they know right now it's not Liam, which is why you're seeing him out of the equation. Now the question is, can they figure out if it's Robert Hunt? This is Robert Jones. This is Robert Jones's chance. Lester Cotton. I find it very odd that he's not practicing today. I mean, he's not playing today. This is because it's either going to be Lester Cotton or Robert Jones who makes this 53. And one guy is going to they're going to try to sneak one guy on the practice squad. They don't know which one it's going to be. But, so he's going to have to they're going to have to subject him to waivers. So, they got to figure it out.
I love the gamesmanship that's going on with the roster, Solana. Just all sneaky football paranoia.
Yeah. Oh, they do it all the time. They do it all the time.
My thing with Liam, that like I know we keep picking on him, but we talk. We
Oh, he doesn't suck. I don't see. There you go.
What, dude? Don't listen.
Don't soft step it.
I'm not trying to soft step. The guy, every Dolphin fan, every year the Dolphins have a guy on the line, and that's just the guy you're scared of having on the line.
It was Jesse Davis for a very long time.
Columbo.
Damn, don't disrespect Jesse Davis like that.
Yeah, but it was Jesse Davis.
Listen, it became Jesse. He was playing out of position. Jesse Davis was not a left tackle, and you know it.
That rib injury Tua suffered 2 seasons ago. Jesse Davis was I don't know what he was doing, the Macarena or something, because he wasn't guarding anybody, he wasn't blocking anybody.
All right,
the Dolphins like the only team that had a starting left tackle making $3 million. Can't do that on the offensive line.
Anyway,
but at this point, if somebody hasn't separated themselves and beaten out Liam Eichenberg, that to me it worries me.
Yeah,
because I know we talked a lot about Isaiah Wynn.
Yes.
And I remember
it should have been him, but there is a reason why it's not him.
Oh, and I understand that. Now with the Teron injury, you have to shuffle things up.
I wouldn't have given it to him even before the Teron injury. Isaiah Wynn's just out there. And for a guy who started 40 games, I expect better.
Right. Well, that's what concerns me. Like, if it was going to be Isaiah Wynn, how couldn't he have already by this point already established, like, hey,
correct,
this is the guy that is better than Liam Eichenberg.
Exactly.
Sorry, Liam, we're moving forward, but that hasn't happened yet.
Exactly.
Which is why I think there's greater issues here when you talk about, the Dolphins backups being sus or suspect.
Sussy.
This is it right here. And look no further than the offensive line, because everybody talked about Liam Eichenberg. Tobin calls him bad. He sucks.
He's a bum.
Everybody that goes out there to watch Liam Eichenberg realizes that, he's an issue, and we haven't found one person that can solidify themselves to be better than him. So what are we saying about the most important part of our offense to keep Tua healthy?
It's funny that you say that, because I can't tell you that they all suck, because they don't. Dan Feeney, he's not good. If his contract wasn't guaranteed, he probably wouldn't be here.
Great mustache, though.
The mullet too.
Of course.
Yeah.
But he's got a leg
exactly
issue.
What I want is Morgan Wallen playing guard.
He's got a leg issue. I wouldn't be shocked if he began the year on a 53 and then heads to the IR. It's all right. And then Liam becomes your backup center. Like, watch out for that. But Lester Cotton's been looking solid. Robert Jones, he's all right. Isaiah Wynn, it's okay. The problem is the guy that I expected to take that step and say, okay, raise your hand, this is my job, he didn't do it. That's Isaiah Wynn. He didn't do it. Now, maybe he gets that opportunity in this game against the Houston Texans, and you see him burrow open some holes, and then he's like, my job now.
For that Tua bootleg, Omar. Let's go, Isaiah Wynn. Let's go.
We'll take a quick break here on Game Day Uncensored. You guys want to get in your questions, go to our YouTube chat right now, Miami 56 WQM or Twitch.
Yeah, we take it from Twitch.
We get all of them. They all get sent to us. So hit us up there. We'll close this thing out with some questions for Omar Kelly. So hit us on up as we get closer to our second preseason game, Dolphins and Texans. Back after this.
Text WQAM on the Kendall Toyota text line at 3055.
HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Sponsored by South Florida Lexus dealers, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, JM Lexus, and Williamson Automotive.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Game Day Uncensored here with you on WQAM, getting you ready for Dolphins and Texans preseason game number 2. If you guys are just tuning in, Tua Tagovailoa expected to play today. He is leading them out of the huddle. They just tweeted out a video of Tua leading them out of the huddle. Little pep talk from number 1 out there. So getting it all set. What were you saying, Solana, as far as the O-line was concerned? You saw a tweet about what it was lining up as?
Yeah, so David Fioronez from the Sun Sentinel, he tweeted out Kendall Lamb and Isaiah Wynn seen on the left side of the Dolphins starting offensive line in pregame warmups. Usually that indicates who the starting offensive line is. So, Omar, you kind of nailed it there. Kendall Lamb will fill in for Teron Armstead, who we know is out today. And then Isaiah Wynn ahead of Liam Eichenberg on that left guard spot as well.
Yeah, I think Lester Cotton is pretty much the number 1 contender with Isaiah Wynn. And so the fact that he's not playing, this is going to be a huge audition for Isaiah Wynn. You want this job, you take it now.
Yeah.
This is your chance. And Robert Jones is probably going to spell him in the second half. The guy I really hope I don't get to see is Keon Smith. Not for me. Maybe he's going to be probably Skylar Thompson's backup left tackle, and fear for his life.
We'll get to some questions here. If you guys have questions for Omar, you guys can hit us on the text line 305-567-0560 or on the YouTube and Twitch chat, which is Miami 560 WQAM. Few more minutes here on the show before we get ready for the second preseason game. Finn's Rule wants to know, Omar, who do you think is claiming the starting role in place of Jalen Ramsey by week 1?
Woo! Right now, based on what I saw last week from Noah Igbenogany, and understand, last week I came here, and what did I say?
He said he was doing good.
Said he was doing good. I didn't see any of the old Noah who got picked on all the time. And then it looked like, and this is just me theorizing, they said, okay, Noah, we can't always protect you in zone. You're going to have to do some man coverage from time to time. And then went out there against Houston, put him in man coverage from time to time. Old Noah surfaced up again.
Yeah,
man.
Gave me the bubble guts. And I got to admit, he made me panic. And so I'm going to have to, I still have old Noah flashbacks. I'm going to have to go with Eli Apple.
Oof. Well, that's why
I got trust issues, guys. It surfaces in every area of my life.
I don't blame you for your trust issues on Noah Igbenogany. I just don't know if
they're not limited to Noah, by the way.
I don't want them just going into the hands of Eli Apple. You know,
you don't have any choice. I don't think Cam Smith is going to be healthy enough to play for probably first month of the season.
Really?
And I know that Dolphin fans are. He's going to tough it out. Shoulders. I've done what he's done. You can't. I watched him. The Houston wide receiver, because he wore a red jersey, which means you can't touch me, like literally. But you're a rival team. You don't have to follow their rules.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah, tough titty, said the kitty. So they ran a toss sweep in Cam Smith's direction, and that wide receiver was trying to make the team. He basically bullied that man 10 yards down the field, and the coach was like, up, get him off the field, get him off the field. You can't play a cornerback who's got one arm.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'd like that matchup, though.
They
if I'm the wide receiver.
You can't play a cornerback with one arm, and then we already dealt with Xavier Howard having a half a groin, whatever that he had out last year, and that was already tough that he was grinding through that. So especially starting off his career.
Just get him healthy. Let's hope that he's healthy enough for midseason.
Cap for Life wants to know. I actually am intrigued by this. Is Cheetah clear from the NFL discipline? Do you do we know? Is there any chance we will know soon on that?
I don't think it's going to be a game. It might be a little $500K.
Oh.
They might hit him hard in the wallet.
Okay.
And cheetah charities. But he's not cleared yet.
Okay.
But I mean, they might do it in 2 weeks between the regular season start and the final exhibition game.
But a game suspension, you think that's out of the question?
It's not out of the question, but I think it's a long shot. Cheetah's not a troublemaker, and Cheetah's a top 10 player in the league.
Yeah.
Name player. Is this really an embarrassing incident? We saw the video.
The headlines were more embarrassing than like once you see the video.
I think his reaction to it was appropriate in that, like, he needs to be more under control there as far as, like, you're very famous. You have a lot of people. Now, I don't know what was said. But, like, I do know that it looked ridiculous. Like, he goes up, the guy, it wasn't the touch. It was the going back after. Like,
right. Yeah. That was actually the worst. That was, I thought, was worse. He went back. But, I mean, I'm sorry. You can't suspend me because I went back after a guy.
Yeah. I mean, like, and we don't know what that side is. And, I don't think it was when I saw the video, because I was like, the only thing I don't know is what the video was. And I watched the video. I'm like, that's not suspension worthy.
No.
Thank you. I agree. Totally agree.
Got to be smarter because you're famous. But
yes, I mean, it's going to cost you a couple $1,000s. It costs them money. We don't know what it cost them, but it costs them money.
Eddie wants to know, when will the Finns stop experimenting on offense? You've described it as experimenting. And get back to their bread and butter.
I think the experimentation stops when they begin to game plan for opponents and they begin to strategize to attack a Noah Igbinoghene. When you're starting to build a game plan to attack a Noah Igbinoghene and to attack this linebacker with this tight end, that's when you begin. But right now, I think they're trying to figure out what else can this offense do. Like, we watched the first day of joint practices and tight ends came alive. Maybe they were experimenting with what is capable. Oh, and hell, Durham Smythe caught a 38-yard pass. When would you ever think that would happen?
Never.
So, let the experimentations continue. I'm all for it. I know it doesn't lead to pretty and sexy offenses, but if Tua's just sticking to what the hits, then Tua's not a DJ who's playing the hits right now.
Yeah,
he's just playing that that European stuff, trying to figure out if it works in the club.
I like it. Tua's got a beautiful voice. I've heard it with the ukulele. Like, you know what? You got to find a new sound every now and then to keep it interesting. Every once in a while. Worst contract. Indade wants to know, Ogbah or Wilson? Cedric Wilson.
Don't do Ogbah like that, because Ogbah earned his $15 million. If he wasn't going to get it from Miami, he was going to get it from somebody else. Miami were forced to give it to him. Cedric Wilson, that's the worst contract in the NFL right now.
In the NFL?
Yeah, you're paying your sixth receiver $7 million. Do you know that they're
could have had Dalvin Cook?
He's one of the top 10 players on this team, Cedric Wilson. Do you realize that?
I didn't know that.
He's a top 10 player in salary on this team.
Did he drop any punts last year? I don't think he dropped.
I don't think he dropped, but I think he was a fair catch.
I'm going to look
before
up exactly
the pump,
where he
before
is.
the kick. He was already fair catching it every single time.
Menu 631 wants to know, how has Bradley Chubb and Jerome Baker looked in practice so far this training camp?
Bradley Chubb looks fine. Jerome Baker, I just realized we're 4 weeks into training camp, and I haven't really noticed Jerome all training camp.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for a linebacker?
It can't be a bad thing because he's not getting exposed.
I don't feel like I really ever, like, that's just kind of.
He's 102 tackles his entire career, 102 tackles a season.
I was going to, like, Jerome Baker, he's okay, right? Like, he's not a top 10 linebacker in the league, but he's probably not a bottom 5 starting linebacker in the league either.
Absolutely.
He's just
I think
average.
He's been better career-wise than Channing Crowder, and this is no disrespect. No, this is no disrespect to Channing. Like, Channing, I would argue to you, since Zach, been named 3 better linebackers than Channing.
Yeah,
Carlos Dansby.
Channing was always looked on as, like, solid, but never made, like, the impact plays. Like, it was just like, great quote, fight, scrappy.
Yeah, no. Channing had a very good career.
Very good career, but, like, it wasn't like he was wrecking shop.
The point I'm making is Jerome Baker's probably had a better career. Jerome's, like, on season. What season is he on? Jesus Lord. Jerome Baker is on season number 6, and he's averaged 102 tackles his entire career. And he can produce sacks when he's allowed to pass rush, which he's rarely ever allowed to pass rush. He's not sexy, but he's productive.
Right. Yeah. And regarding Bradley Chubb, like, he got paid. He didn't, to put it the right way, he didn't make all the impact plays that I think everybody was expecting him to last season, right?
He played half a season.
Yeah, but still, like when he played, it was with the contracts he got compared to his production. I don't think it was the sexy production we were looking at, considering the amount of money he got. So I'm just asking, like, at what point do we need to see Bradley Chubb making those types of plays before people are a little annoyed with him?
Wow, bro, he just got paid. He just got that money. Like,
he's Fang's guy.
Listen, in fairness to him, and he said this in the offseason, I didn't even know my way to the facility. Like, you couldn't tell me.
I mean, Omar, you jump on 95 North and then you get there. I mean, come on, Bradley Chubb. What are we doing here?
He didn't know guys' names. Like, he played in the game, he didn't know everybody's name. It was, then he broke his hand and was playing with a club.
Breaking the hand is a fair one. Like, not knowing.
Oh, damn. Hold on. You can't accept not knowing your name?
Was this Cheers?
Like, how do you know the defense if you don't know the player's name?
They have numbers, Omar. Like,
yeah, I remember. It was Brian Flores' first year, where the tank year. And literally, guys were like, the first game where they like claimed 9 guys off waivers and waived and traded everybody, and they were just like, they really wanted to be bad. And that first game, they're out there with the Patriots, and no, it was the Baltimore Ravens.
It was the game where Nick wanted to hightail it out of here.
Yeah, and literally, guys are playing like, hey, you 44. Whatever your name is, like, this is the play. Like, they claim guys on Monday and played them on Sunday. That year was nuts, but yeah.
Omar, Ray Allen didn't know who James Jones was, and they won a championship together. Call him James Johnson the entire season. Like, come on, Bradley Chubb.
Ray Allen doesn't need to know James Jones.
Hey, he's executive still, right?
He is.
Yeah,
he is.
Phoenix.
Yeah. But I mean,
Phoenix.
as a player at the time,
Yeah.
And then, I know what you did, James. You plotted that whole trip to the Bahamas to get LeBron out of here.
Yep.
Anyway, listen, everybody, that is Game Day Uncensored today. It was another fun, rousing edition. We're excited to be back with you guys, and we'll see what happens today. Game 2 of the preseason, Dolphins and Texans. Hope everybody kicks back, enjoys their Saturday full of sports. You got preseason action. You got Messi in the League Cup Championship tonight. Little UFC late night, so enjoy the rest of your Saturday, everybody, and we will talk to you guys before the Jags next week.
Hey, want to see the ugly mugs that go along?